listening to the Bomb Hole.
Bomb Hole Podcast.
It's going to be very hot. It's going to be very uncomfortable for everybody.
The Bomb Hole.
You're gonna slide down them big hills, you know what I mean, on the big, nice burgundy snowboard.
All right, we are back in the booth here at the Bomb Hole, which is presented by Pub Beer. Now, you guys already know how we start this thing off. Stony Buds, how are we doing today?
So good, my dog.
Love that. Always, every time. To my left, we got DCP in the booth. DCP, how we doing?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me here.
We are
Stoked.
happy.
DCP.
We're happy that you're back in the booth because this isn't your first time, from what I understand.
Yeah, it's a rebate session. I was in February.
What happened round one?
We had a great conversation, great time. Drove up to Canada, and then I think something happened with the tapes or with the recording button or something.
Yep, yeah. We're doing another podcast because I basically took the cards out of the cameras and audio and then put them on my desk and then came back, recorded a podcast a few days later.
Put them right back in.
Put them right back in and formatted them. Never dumped the cards. So
Shit happens.
We're doing it, and I was basically on suicide watch, so I'm sorry. And David, thank you for being so chill. We really appreciate that.
Oh, no problem, man. I'm so glad I'm actually get the chance to come back here and hang out with you guys. And, things happen. I mean, it's like life. Life just happens. Just deal with that.
Everything happens for a reason, too, so this conversation will be just that much better.
Absolutely.
You know, I want to talk about his chillness. This is the thing he said. I go, all right, we'll try to make sure you don't have to come back again. I'm gonna make sure I dump the cards this time. David, I'm sorry. He's like, it's all good. If I have to come back for a third time, I will.
For sure, truly.
And your story has developed quite significantly since the last time you were here, right?
Yeah, you could say that. Absolutely. There's been quite a bit of challenges and growth and whatever you want to call that.
I think we should start with that.
All right. Well, yeah, last time I was here in February, I was on a snowboarding trip and started driving up to Canada and had some great time in Whistler and Mount Baker right before that. Ended up going to Revelstoke, flying with Eagle Pass, boarding, and Dustin Craven and Jeff Belshot, a few other cats, and it was really fun. We were set up to have 3 days of boarding, and we're filming, and the conditions are prime, and so we were warming up. You know, we were on day 3 of our heli trip, last day. Me and Dustin are flying, and wanting to step up to some bigger lines, and he's training to. Well, he had won the bald-face thing. We didn't know. He didn't tell us, but he was on his way to Alaska, so he wanted to ride a few bigger spine and get ready. And I was very happy to be with him in the heli and shred with him. He was so confident, and it was so great. So, we did our thing and, did some sweet lines. And then on the last line, I just took a wrong turn. And on top of this slope, and started I kind of got onto the top of the run. I was supposed to be maybe 50 feet to the right, to the rider's right, and realized that there was rocks and ice all the way down the spine where I was not wanting to be. And I tried to adjust and, kind of clip the nose of my board on rocks or ice and started tumbling down. And at that point, there was no stopping. So I just kind of went for it and held onto my head. And at some point I felt pain on my elbow and it shot to my fingers. And I was like, oh shit, I broke my elbow. And I got to the bottom, sloughs, coming down. And I was like, oh, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'll be fine. And I just rode to my goggles that I lost and rode to a LZ to get picked up. And I reached out to the radio. I was like, hey, I broke my elbow. Come pick me up. We need to go down. I'm done. And then I felt a little weird. And then they put me with a collar. And they're like, let's just make sure that, let's take you down. Let's go straight to the hospital, get you x-rayed and check it out. And then next thing I know, I'm sitting there in Revelstoke Hospital. The doctor rolls up, like, good news. Your elbow's not broken. I'm like, yes. But C6 is shattered. We're like, oh shit, okay. So then they're like, no, don't move. We're going to take you in the ambulance to Kamloops. and then we did a CT scan, and then it was like a couple of vertebrae shattered and dislocation, and just kind of like, I wouldn't say the worst case scenario. It was the best case scenario for what happened. That could have been a lot worse. So I ended up breaking my neck.
You're able to snowboard down to the landing zone with a broken neck?
Yeah.
Sketchy, huh?
Yeah, I didn't know it was broken.
One wrong move and it probably could have been bad.
Yeah, because there was a 4 millimeter dislocation. They say around 5 or 6 millimeter, it could be paralysis or.
So you're a millimeter away.
Yeah.
From like the worst.
The worst case.
Yeah.
And obviously it's not. The pain was here because the nerve goes through here and then it's shut, kind of like crazy electric signal in these fingers.
Oh, so you never actually did anything to your elbow?
No.
Crazy.
It was all here, but it's just the response of the nerve system. That's like C7, C6, C5, like if it's in relation. And so I could feel it in all that, And so, I ended up getting surgery and spending 90 hours to wait for surgery before it happened in bed. And I kind of like just laying down there, practicing some meditation, breathing. I had nothing else I could do. I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Called a friend. He played some music for me over the phone, talked to Megan, and then, that happened. And then I had 2 weeks at my friend Paul Watt. He came to pick me up, and we were in Squamish, just kind of like settling into this, just relaxing and, kind of wondering like, okay, well, that happened. Now what, And then I just made it back to Costa Rica after that, meet up with my family the day I could fly 2 weeks after surgery. And it's been such a great place for healing. Very grateful for that and for everybody that helped me and the doctors, nurses, and everybody at Eagle Pass for their reaction. And, it was just like at the end, it was a big challenge, big thing, but I was so grateful for the experience because it taught me a lot, truly. And, now I'm here and I'm fine. So,
can you specifically elaborate on what it taught you?
What did it tell me?
Yeah, what did it teach you?
You.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, it teach me that, first of all, I feel like you sometimes underestimate your body and your own ability to heal. It taught me that through different practices and different mindset, especially, you can heal yourself and you can fast track your healing. So I learned a lot of that through I like Dr. Joe Dispenza. That's kind of, he became the guy that I looked up to. Just kind of like the power of positive thinking in terms of manifesting your healing, like I was picturing my spine getting healed up and, perfectly healing and the muscles around it and then everything else and the movement and then what I will end up doing afterwards. And that was like a daily practice. Also, I learned that, yoga is good for me. I always kind of did it more as a exercise and more as a stretching routine. But I feel like I learned that the connection that you have with your body and your spirit and your soul through breathing, especially, that's like the base of yoga, is connecting with your breathing. That helped me a lot through the whole process of healing, starting when I couldn't even move. Just tuning in with breathing, that taught me that a lot. That's very important. It works for me. And then this whole thing taught me that to not take anything for granted. The love you have from your family, the love you have from your friends, the love you have for them, but also all the experiences and achievements that you've had in the past, that's happened. But you can acknowledge them, but then you can't, you taught me not to live in the past, but just like be really in the present moment, because that's all you got. That's all. The only thing that's real is like what's happening like right now. And so that put me back into that space a lot because I needed to focus on me right now, not be like well, if I didn't take that last run, I would have been fine, or like be angry about my decisions or whatever. So, and it became a practice. Obviously, like life happens, right? So it keeps happening, and then it's just a reminder every time it happens. Like, well, I almost died, almost was paralyzed, and here I am right now. I can do it. So like, just enjoy that moment, and whatever else is just, I was just grateful that to have been given a second chance, I guess, at life, because now I can, kind of do it like in a better way and try to like get better and help people and help myself. And, that's pretty much what it teach me mostly.
Are you saying if you sit there and like try to go through all the ways to make it not happen, like I shouldn't have taken that run, I could have been done early, that's almost like deniability or
lack of acceptance.
Lack of acceptance, I guess, and that's just a bad path to go down. You need to accept it, move forward.
I mean, for me,
life happened.
Yeah, for me, that's kind of like, yeah, because when you're thinking positively about your present moment, then your future becomes a positive outcome. That's kind of like how it works for me, and so reversely, like if I'm fearful of what, or like angry, or have those other type of feelings that are not the same, I guess, vibration vibe, like the bad vibes, then that carries on, into the mood that you're in right now, and then into your future. And so for me right now, it's like I'd rather just be positive and not think about the past, the bad things that happen. And if I'm going to remember anything about the past, I might as well remember the good memories, not the bad ones. So that's what I choose.
That's awesome.
I love it. Well, let's get into the past. Let's talk about your good past memories.
Exactly.
Because we're here to talk about that, and it's wild. Before we get into that, it's just kind of wild also to think about that bail. You've had such a long, incredible career, and been relatively okay. And then towards you've been going for a while. You're a full veteran, and then it happens. I mean, at what age did you break your back? When did this happen?
Oh, yeah.
Break your neck. Sorry, break your neck.
I'm 41 years old currently, and it happened when I was 41. It was my first surgery in my life. I've heard my MCL and AC and wrists and ankles, but never required surgery. So I feel very fortunate that actually it was my first surgery. Made it a little bit more kind of like, scary in some way, because I never was under, like put under, and like the anesthesia and all of the stuff they tell you about. So that this could happen. It's like, okay, well, just fix me. I trust you. Are you okay? Like they kept coming like, how are you feeling? I'm like, doctor, how are you feeling? That's the question.
That's the real question.
You feeling good about this? Like, I'm good. I trust you.
True.
So yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky that didn't have that many injuries, and actually, like that was the worst one that I've ever had. And
cool. Well, let's run it back to the early days, because you're from Quebec. You're Quebecois.
Yep.
Chicout?
Yeah, I'm from Chicoutimi.
Oh, let's give an air horn to Chicoutimi.
Beautiful, beautiful place.
Many a negative 20
days
rail
spent, or
trips.
night.
Just, wild town.
Good town.
Great town.
A lot of spots.
Yeah.
Kind of became the rail capital of Quebec.
Yes, it did.
Canada.
Yeah, a lot of snow. So what did it look like for you, like snowboarding? How did you find it? What were the early days like?
So when I started snowboarding, well, first of all, I was skiing for 5 years, and it was in 1991 when I switched to snowboarding. There was only like 5 or 6 guys at my home resort, Le Valinois, that were snowboarding. And they were like older guys, the guys I kind of already looked up to as a young skier, like, oh, those guys, because I was already skateboarding and I wanted to snowboard, but I didn't yet. And then so in 1991, actually for Valentine's Day, my dad gifted me with my first snowboard. It was a Kemper Kid 133 with some Sims bindings, I know, camper bindings with the third strap, you know, like all the purple and yellow, phosphorescent yellow. It was a gift. My mom and dad like recently separated, so he gifted me that, and that was the best gift ever. So right away on the next day or that day, I went snowboarding, and then it just changed my life. So yeah, I had a group of older guys that I looked up to, and we started boarding together, and you know, soon enough, like our small group, you know, we became pretty tight. And then we started wanting to do competition because, I mean, our resort was amazing, but we didn't have park or pipe or anything, no rail, no nothing. Just we would build our own jumps and just kind of free riding. There was a lot of snow there. And then an opportunity came in 1994, which was 3 years after I started, to go to Rimouski. It's another town in Quebec where they were hosting a half pipe contest. And we're like, let's go. We never rode pipe, but yeah, let's just enter, you know. And then you roll up and you have to dig the pipe and then compete. So yeah, growing up snowboarding in Quebec was awesome. Just cold, but snowy. And, you know, that's what we knew. We didn't know it was warm in the West Coast. You know, we just grew up in the East Coast. Like, that's normal for us. Like, let's do this.
Just wear everything you own, huh? And get out there.
Yeah. And the coldest I snowboarded at was minus 59 with the windshield. That's or 57. Like
that's where it starts to.
C'est fret.
What's that mean? Tabernacle.
Yeah. What is that? That word doesn't really exist in English, right?
Fret.
C'est fret. It's yeah.
What's it mean?
It's
really cold.
It's cold. It's real cold. Or like yeah,
it's fucking cold.
When you're at like
pretty much.
When you're at negative, I want to say negative 60s, where Fahrenheit and Celsius meets back up.
Yeah, something like that.
You don't want to be outside in those temperatures.
No,
but you were out there snowboarding.
Well, yeah, my good friend and I actually hitchhiked, and the one guy who picked us up was probably the lift operator because we showed up and it's only us two and this one other guy that always is there no matter what, not wearing a hat, and his name was Danny. He just skis and just.
Cold Danny.
Yeah, the three of us on the chairlift, one run, we get to the top, we can't even go down, it's too sticky. And we get to the bottom, all frostbite and everything, and they're like, yeah, we're going to shut this down today. I'm like, all right, well, we did our run, that's fine.
Yeah, you did it.
Can we get a ride back down? We just hitchhiked up here.
Yeah, in Chicoutimi, I've been on the rail trip, and the news is like, if you're elderly, don't go outside because there's a good chance you might die.
Yeah, you will die.
You're like, that's the weather forecast.
Yeah, don't even go get the mail.
Sounds about right. It's funny because my grandmother, she was from there, and she never had a driver license her whole life. So she would walk everywhere. And so she was really tough because she would go out and do groceries when it was minus 40. She would walk there, walk back up, no problem.
It's probably nice in the summer there, I imagine.
Yeah, but it's beautiful.
Sure. Yeah, beautiful.
Place.
I was just there 2 weeks ago to visit the lake where I grew up at, and Chicoutimi and Montreal, and it was awesome.
We started changing Chicoutimi to just Shit Hook is what we started calling it. Yeah, were you guys heading to Shit Hook?
Nice.
So that kind of leads us to the 418 crew, Cat 18 crew.
Cat 18.
Did you guys probably said it in French, I'd imagine, or no? Was it
Cat 18.
Cat 18. Cat 18. What's up with the 418 crew?
So 418 crew, was based out of the area code of Chicoutimi, Quebec City, Rimouski, like the people that were involved all have the same area code. That started with Emmanuel Krebs, actually. Manuel was one of the first pro out of Quebec alongside JF, Belchat, and Martin Gallant. But Manuel was, as I'd done it with, he was a pro rider, he was a designer for Limited, and then he became like manager as well afterwards. And he just wanted to pass on the passion and help us out as young athletes, young snowboarders. A little bit like we were before, like it was a little bit harder at that time to be French Canadian and make it onto the pro scene or even get any type of recognition from any brands that were based out in the US. And so that was his idea. He invited Transworld Snowboarding and Snowboarder back to back to Mont Saint-Anne, Quebec, to make a story on us. And that's when the 418 crew became something. Shemroos from Transworld came, and then who was he with? I mean, John Boyer was filming, and then George Corvala came from Snowboarder, and like it was pretty rad. So we had the chance to just shred and do what we love doing, which was run up the pipe and go as far up as we can to get as much speed as we can into first set, and then just take it from there. And we were a very tight crew of friends. We were competing a little bit already when that happened. But yeah, truly we're just like wanting to progress and push each other, and we had that opportunity. So that became 418. They did a little Transworld video at the same time. And from there, then I feel like some of the companies wanted to support us and the crew, and then that kind of took off all of our careers, and very grateful for that moment and for Emmanuel.
Could I get into a quick Patreon question?
Yeah, let's do it.
This is from Mad Ill. Canadian riders sometimes have it more difficult than their U.S. counterparts breaking into a direct relationship as pro riders with U.S.-based companies. Being French-Canadian, did you find it even more difficult? Did you shorten your name to make you more accessible for these companies?
Yeah, so just like I was saying, it was definitely harder as a French-Canadian. Probably because we couldn't speak English. We couldn't communicate with the brand or the team manager. But also I feel like our names were very French, right? So a lot of the time they called it non-marketable, or it was just too long, or just kind of sounded weird. It wasn't like, I don't know, like even like JP Walker is like probably JP stands for something. So it's like JP Walker.
John Paul.
It's shorter a little bit, right? Sounds great, right? Jeremy Jones, it's just like just sounds like awesome,
Especially when you say it like that.
Yeah. Young Dolly. Sounds great.
God, sounds
You know
awesome.
what I mean? Like Chris Grenier.
It's French-Canadian, actually.
Yeah, that's
doesn't sound-
French-Canadian.
Yeah, we switched to the Grand Diesel, so we're
I
good.
think part of it is also we look at it, we don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
Like, is it
exactly.
Grenier? Is it Grenier?
Same with David Carrier.
Carrier
Porcheron,
Porcheron,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It gets harder with the more French you are, I guess.
Yeah.
You have to. It's like you have to have peanut butter stuck to the roof of your mouth in order to
say it
pronounce
properly.
it properly. Yeah.
And then for me, I had a name, an hyphenated name. So 2 last names, my mom and dad. And that was very long. David Carrier Porcheron, right? So then my sponsor at the time decided that it was just too long. So they did the initial DCP, and they're the one who decided to call me that because it was better for competition, the way the announcer will call up my name, or even probably easier internally even to talk about it, and just for them to start a promotion or like a campaign or something. So I think, yeah, Blotto, photographer for Burton.
Did people start like making that your nickname too?
Yeah, I mean, it became the nickname within that brand, and while I was on the road, and then people started calling me that. It was just also easier. But if somebody asked me like, "Do I call you David or DCP?" I go David.
David. Okay.
Well, I realized you were kind of the forefather, because then you have LMP, Laurent Nicolas Paquin,
Yeah. Back one.
and then you got Louis Felix Perdie. I guess he goes by Lou. Yeah, never mind. That's not. He was LFP for a second. Early days, but everyone just started calling him Lou. Any other ones?
Marie-France,
Oh yeah, MFR. Yep.
right?
Yep.
And I think there's some other ones now.
Yeah. Well, there's sorry for whoever we're forgetting, but
They're out there.
Yeah, no, it's it just makes it easier, and so they embodied that, and I went with it, and it's still stick. When my
Love that.
son calls me that sometimes, I'm
He
like,
calls you DCP?
yeah, sometimes.
Nobody ever calls you Dave. I noticed.
Yeah, Dave that never caught
That's
up.
kind of the American version,
Yeah,
because
Dave.
it's like David or David.
Yeah.
David.
Yeah.
We're gonna call you Dave for the rest
Yeah,
of this.
Dave.
All right,
Alright.
Dave. Let's keep this thing going here.
Famous Daves.
Sounds good. Either one.
So also you're known as the half pipe, like early days, like how much did that hone your skills, edge control and whatnot?
Well, I feel like, even just starting to ride on the East Coast, it's pretty icy. It's so we will tune up our edges and wax our board like crazy all the time. We wanted to be fast, especially riding pipe. So I feel like, and we also use forward lean on our binding a lot. I feel like riding pipe definitely helped with the overall snowboarding skills because you're on edge the whole time, and you're learning to pump and push up and use the energy to get more height and more speed and everything. So I feel like once we rode like years and years of half pipe and icy ones, and then we get to Mount Hood and it's springy or like Whistler, and it's like, whoa, we can actually send it even more now. And then that, after that, even in slope style or jumps, just the approach seems like we, the edging, we had it dialed. And but yeah, it was very fun to ride half pipe, and definitely I feel like it's something that it's still happening, but seems like most people that ride half pipe are the ones who compete in half pipe. There's not a ton of people that just casually go ride pipe, which I guess it should make a revival. Or maybe the pipes are so big now it's intimidating. Maybe it should go back to like 14 or 17 feet pipe, and then people would get that going. And
100%.
What would the pipe jocks do though? The big dogs.
And we still have the big pipe.
You have like a junior bacon half pipe.
But then
and
it's just more for the layman at the resort that just wants to have some fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Half pipe is fun.
It's fun.
And
it's like the most
when we
fun.
grew up, it was like you hike the pipe. That's what you do.
It's social. It's fun.
And now you go to the super pipe, and the only people that are hiking the super pipe are people that want to be Olympics or are like lunatics that want to do double cork.
Crazy people.
And often it's also like private sessions, so that the pipe's built for coaches and their crew.
Mm-hmm.
So I came across a couple of those sessions over the years, and I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna drop in here. Hey, you're not. No. We're good.
Okay, this is a perfect time to take a break and talk about our sponsors. All right, we're going to take a quick break and talk to you guys about Sunbum. Now, even though it's almost winter, you might not think you need sunscreen, but you can get roasted like a Kenny Rogers chicken out there, buds.
Yes, you can, and I have been done that to me before. Just last week, in fact.
Yeah, he was Del Scorcho, you could say, in the words of Del Taco's hot sauce. So I use the mineral stick, SPF 50. It's small. I keep it in the snowboard pants. I keep one in my truck.
Camera bag, I keep one.
Yeah, I keep one in the
24/7.
camera bag. He even smears it on his lens sometimes just for good measure.
Just to get better photos.
Get better photos. So
those artsy ones.
They're good people supporting our industry with cool events. They have an awesome team. They got Brian Fox, Jill Perkins are on, and they also support us. And if you're interested in picking up some Sunbum, head on over to your local surf shop, skate shop, snowboard shop. But if they don't have it and you want to buy it online, head to sunbum.com and use promo code BOMBHOLE for 15% off. Again, sunbum.com, promo code BOMBHOLE, 15%. Get your face lathered up. All right, we're going to get into a guest question from none other than Shane Charlebois, a.k.a. Charlie Boy, a true king. Here we go.
You know how the more time you spend in the backcountry, it just seems like the board gets farther away from your hands, from your grabs. Meanwhile, in the half pipe, it's all about that dope style, the tight grabs. Well, my question for DCP is, you're known as a backcountry guy. Do you think your roots in the half pipe are what helped you translate that into the backcountry? The tight grabs, the dope style.
Well, it's funny you asked that, Shane. Thank you for the question. Love you, brother. Yes. Well, I would say, yeah, I think riding half pipe definitely helped because it was all about, especially when I started, it was not just like spinning. Like you actually had to grab and do methods and do frontside air and stale fishes, and all that was part of it. So I feel like, I think riding half pipe, getting all of the grab and having the type to tweak it, probably translated to bringing that into the tricks I was loving doing in the backcountry and holding on to the grab and until I tried almost land down my fingers. No, I think that half pipe definitely helped with backcountry, and I love both, but backcountry is where it's at for sure.
Well, it's good that you got your roots in the pipe early, and let's talk career highlights, Dave. Let's talk half pipe. Like, what were some notable moments?
I think for the half pipe, the things that I remember the most are like the West Beach Classic, for example. The first time I ever went there in '97, just showing up and seeing Alan Clark, Trevor Andrew, and all those guys just sending it, all the Canadian legends, and very beautiful pipe in the spring of Whistler, like. So that was always exciting to go there. And then that became the Sims Invitational competition, which also was pretty sweet for us. That was our local pipe. And so we knew the pipe, we knew, but then they had all the big guys there, Keir Dillon and Michael Chuck, and just chucking like doubles and huge McTwists. And that energy at that specific contest was really high, and we were filming at the same time, so like all of us was just like charged up. So that was pretty memorable for me. I think I did top 3 at that one. That was pretty fun. Other than that, I think that competing on the World Cup circuit and having the chance and the opportunity to travel to Europe and places like that and in the US and mountains like Mammoth or Stratton, and all that was very exciting because of the people I met, the places I went to, but also just like having the opportunity to ride among the best and learning and just pushing myself, and it's been good. I'd say in halfpipe that was that, and then after that came slopestyle, big air event. I was invited to do some of those, and so European Open was awesome when they first started. A good slopestyle course. And then my most memorable memory was actually a big air to quarter pipe contest in Japan. It was called the Nissan X Trail. And that one was really awesome because there was so many people, and it was in a stadium, and between the finals and the semifinal, they had a full band, a full stage that was put in place, and you take an elevator to the drop-in, and they had fireworks, and it was crazy, and ended up winning a whole bunch of money there, and was so stoked. So yeah, it was fun.
Cash probably too, huh? Those big contests.
Yeah, cash in yen. Like 2 or 3 million yen. Here we go, but
yen, 2 or 3 million yen.
You're like, sweet. How much is that?
You're a millionaire over there in Japan for a minute, huh?
Yeah, I was flying home, and I had to like get half of it or like third of it to a friend, and
you can only carry 10,000
Yeah.
US dollars per person, or else you're getting in big trouble.
Exactly. So
You had those yenjis. You go Wolf of Wall Street,
Yenjis.
tape it to your body, just duct tape it to the whole thing.
Duct tape all the million yen to your body.
yeah, totally.
Booyah. I wish contests were like that more,
Yeah, now it's like you win. Here's $15.
Yeah, or here's a small check that you might see in 7 to 8 months, if you even see it. I've heard stories of people that don't even get the check. By the time the check clears, the contest is like they cut the name of the company and everyone's gone.
When they give you the cash, it's yours. It's,
cash is
all right,
cash.
Thank you. And then you spend 10% at the bar, so then you already have it. You don't have to
10% rule.
put it on a credit card. You're just like, here we go.
Bam.
Yeah.
Love it.
So going back to your career, you got signed up with Burton, and you were with them for a long time. It seemed like. How did that come about, and how did your career look when you were with Burton?
Burton was a great sponsor, and they came in as my first sponsor actually through the rep in Quebec. It was after I was competing on the provincial level and a couple national contests. So I was hooked up on the rep level with some gear. I was super stoked, and they gave me the next year's gear already. So I was like, wow, okay, it's super exciting. Then I got to go to Burlington and meet the team manager there, and I think I actually met Jake that first trip to Burlington. He was there in office and kind of quickly said hi. They gave me a tour of Burlington. I think it's 80 Industrial Parkway was where I always remember that.
I remember that address.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was cool just to be invited to even walk into that building and meet with the team manager, and then. And so they're like, yeah, okay, we could support you a little bit more. We'll double up the product that we can give you, and you'll be under, from rep to maybe under my management, North American team manager or something. And then it was 1998 when I went to Saas-Fee, Switzerland, just for training, because me and my friend Danielle Mignot were just there. We wanted to snowboard and shred pipe, and then we were going to do a series of contests that fall. And we rolled up to the Burton photo shoot. We had no idea it was happening, and they had a pipe, and then they had all the European team, and Johan Olofsson was there, and like a bunch of legends, Mickey Albin, and we're like, wow, look at those guys, they're killing it. And then nobody was like riding. The pipe was perfect, and we're like, can we ride this? Like, no, it's just, it's a photo shoot. Like, yeah, but we ride for Burton in Quebec. Like, can we let us ride it? Come on. And then they're like, no, not right now. They're like, all right, you guys can ride it. And then we got like, what? We can ride it. Let's go. So we were so pumped, and we just hiked super high up and started sessioning it and running up and down. And they're like, whoa, wait a minute. Those guys need to have the new gear. Like, come on, like, hook them up. And so they did. And from that moment on was Jeff Curtis was there taking photos. And I think there was some internal talk like, oh, those guys, we should give them more support. Like, and it kind of from then on was kind of, we were more on the radar. And then one thing led to the next. I was invited to the next photo shoot in Chile the following year, like officially invited. And I took the opportunity because I love snowboarding and I just don't want to miss a moment. So I was just like, every feature we session, I was the first one there, last one there, digging it, fixing it. Oh, it's still the sunset out. The sun's gone already. It's like, oh, do you have any flashes? Let's keep hitting that thing. So it was fun. And Burton gave me huge support. So grateful for Jake and Donna and the whole crew there. And I actually think about it often, and especially this last 5 months, like when kind of like thinking back on the good memories of my past and how grateful I am for all those experiences and successes, achievements that I've had, and it often comes back to what Jake provided for me, but also for the team that he was supporting. It's huge. They gave us huge support and trust. They will just give kids like a bunch of money and somewhat of a loose schedule. Like, maybe that's US Open in March and then photo shoot then, and like, just go do it. Right. And, that was very formative and very, very awesome. So what did huge support look like back then? Well, it was just like whatever product you needed, like anything. It was like 10 boards, no problem. Like all the outerwear, the bags, and then they will pay for all your travels, and then we had photo incentive, video incentive, unlimited back then, wasn't it? At some point, like the travel was capped. The photo incentive wasn't unlimited. Unlimited. Yeah. It was like show it to us, we'll pay you, and it was good. And thank you, Blotto. Actually, I gotta give him some mad props because he's responsible not just for me but for all team riders that he was managing. Like, he will like essentially get all of the magazines from all across the world, in Italy and Spain and everywhere, Lebanon, everywhere, and just like cut the cover or every little pictures of us in it, put it in a FedEx envelope, send it to us, and be like, make sure you collect your incentive. Little note, right? And then a little artwork of his or like collage or something. Just above and beyond. What a boss. Yeah, what a boss. And it's like, all right. You're like, damn, you start adding it up. You're like, awesome. Thanks, Blotz. Because he would tell it to me that some of these guys just wouldn't even do it. They didn't even realize how much money they were sitting on. And some guys got like $20,000 checks. Yeah, no, totally. They helped them get a house. Yeah, well, thank you for Burton. No wonder why Burton didn't have him doing team management for a long time. They were looking at all those checks. Potentially. He was the best, like, for sure. I think, like, his first assignment as a team manager when he started was to pick me and Daniel Mignot up in Reno Airport, take us to Super Park 1999. Oh, wow. That was his first gig. That was a fun one. Mammoth, I remember that. That was so fun. So fun. Yeah. Yeah, that one was a memorable event for sure. Did you guys realize at the time, because, I was a kid when you were the super pro,
I use this term a lot, but the marquee pro, like you guys were rock stars when you rode for Burton, like especially like when it got to the JP Solberg, Roman, you. I felt like the Uninc, which we'll get into, but did you guys realize that you were rock stars at the time when that was happening?
I think we were just like all of us lived in the moment so much, and we're in the flow of things, and like one season led to the next, and we definitely realized that I was supported well, and but I also always wanted to give what they paid for, or like what the opportunity they gave me. I wanted to not just be sitting on the side like all right, sweet, thank you, just like. I feel like all of us actually, Raman and JP and Gigi, and we were just very stoked to be out there and be given that opportunity to push ourselves, but also to be in the forefront of like backcountry freestyle, snowboarding, and taking our whatever we did in the park and pipe to the backcountry. We had that chance, that opportunity to like go into a helicopter in Alaska, or like the best filmers and the best other riders to be with in the backcountry, snowmobile access, and I think there was a lot of opportunities there that we were just doing it. And then Burton at that time, it wasn't us promoting ourselves. We will just ride. Photographers, filmers were putting it all together, and they did their campaign to sell their DVDs or to sell the brand. So I guess at some point, when we dress up as Kiss and everything, and then we were doing that stuff, like, oh yeah, okay, well, yeah. I mean, we did realize people were looking up to us. Rockstar it's another thing. I think no effects are rock stars. Like.
You were bigger than life to a lot of snowboarders, though, and these guys had a marketing machine behind you, and it was working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
and you all were very talented snowboarders, so. It's a pretty cool thing.
It was very special, definitely. We're very fortunate to have had that role and that opportunity in snowboarding, and to have inspired some people.
And as you were coming up, you filmed with Kingpin, with Whitey, and you filmed with MacDog. What were and obviously Burton had all their films, but between the Kingpin and MacDog crews, which ones were your favorites?
Well, I think that one led to the next, because I started with Kingpin with Brad Kramer as the main filmer and Shane Charlebois, and I only filmed a few times with Whitey, but Brad was mostly the guy I filmed with, and then Simon, a friend from Chicoutimi, Simon Turcotte, was hired, and he's the one I filmed the most with. So that, the relationship I had with those filmers already was awesome, and then the riders that were involved that I had a chance to snowboard with was very special with the Kingpin days. But that led me, to ride with Mark Frank and to ride with like guys like Gigi and Scotty Whitlake and those guys, and I already was kind of like at those as my idols. I was looking up to those guys, and Ali Goulet, even like Todd Richards. And so having the chance to ride with them fueled me. And then Kingpin was over. It was like the last season was Back in Black. I had a great season that year. And then Brad was going to start working with Mike at MacDog. And then they did Chalk Smack. And then that crew that year was the best. Like I got to ride with UC and Ville a lot. And, it was great. It was a fun year, and so the transition was very smooth, and so it never felt like two different film company. Almost like was the same one, just kind of like transitioning. Mm-hmm. So kind of like Brad partner with MacDog, and then that became my crew.
And then eventually, go back to Shane and the boys over at Absinthe. But before we get into that, we should talk about your part in Back in Black, the ender. Unbelievable part. That's where the DCP Cliff was born. Do you want to tell the story behind the DCP Cliff, the last shot in the movie?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you for that. That was also one of my favorite. So yeah, I mean, that year I spent a lot of time in California, bouncing kind of back and forth between BC and California. If there was a storm in Cali, we'll drive down, and then we will drive back up and carry our sleds in the back of our pickup. And so the DCP Cliff was in Sonora Pass outside of Mammoth or like Bridgeport. And so we will go there a few times, and then the one morning where we showed up was Alex O'Shu, myself, Todd Richard, Brad Kramer, Simon, Andy Wright was the photographer that day. And we rolled up to this cliff band, and then first we started hanging out this other jump on the side of it that didn't have much rock to clear. It was kind of a perfect steep landing. So we got on to the top of that and started building that one. And then we're like, well, what about that big cliff?
Sorry to interrupt. Is that the one you switch back 5 in that part?
The one before that he was hitting?
Yeah.
The smaller one?
Yeah, the smaller one.
There was a smaller one on the left.
Part that I think you hit. But yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going. It interrupted, yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. So there was like three takeoff of that ridge.
Yep.
One in the middle, sideways a bit.
Yeah.
Switchback 5, this one. And then there was another one, more cornicy.
Yep.
No rock, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Don't remember what trick was done on that one, but we showed up to the top of the bigger part of the cliff band, and it was Todd and I and Alex, and we just kind of like tiptoed to the edge. And in my mind, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's going down. It's gonna be sweet."
I wonder what Todd was thinking.
Oh yeah, Todd's like, "Hell no!" And then he went onto his sled and went to sit with Brad at the bottom.
Not going down.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh hell no!" That was the reaction. It's like. And so me and Alex were like, okay, let's do this. Let's do it. So we packed it, and we're like, okay, how much speed do we need? Throwing the snowball, like not that much speed, it's pretty big. And so like, who gets to go first?
Rochambeau for the audio listeners right now.
Yeah. And actually, Alex got to go first. So it could have been called the Alex Cliff. But
DCP's got a nice ring to it.
Alex went first.
Two Cliff might have been nice. So.
He did straight air. He grabbed it, and then somehow he kind of nosedove a little bit, and I was just like, "Oh shit," And I'm just like sitting back to not be in the shot,
Yeah.
And I'm seeing him kind of like that. I was like, "Ooh,"
You're all that doesn't look good.
And he didn't hit it again. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try. I'm going to spin off of that because it's going to be probably easier than a straight air for me at that time. It was like, if I don't see it, I come around, So, yeah, it was pretty sweet. And the first time I went off, I overspun a little bit, almost went to 540 and kind of almost had it. But my goal was to do a 360. And so I went back and tried a couple more times and then rode away with one, and I was pretty stoked.
The rest is history.
Now
when you were on your way out to the cliff that morning, did you have a different name for it? Was it something else before the DCP cliff?
No, we didn't really have a name for it
let's
at
go
all.
Hit that big guy.
We didn't know we were going to hit that big guy. We were on our way to hit this side jump, and then we're like,
look at that.
Look at this landing. It's all filled in. It looks good. Let's go.
After you had hit it, I'd been back there snowmobiling, and that thing is big in person, too.
Yeah, no, it was solid for sure.
If you can see on the left, is that you that side slipped on the print? Like, is that side slip you going down to check it out on the print? You can see that track.
Speaking of the print,
absolutely.
We're going to have this print for sale, and Andy Wright was the one who took the shot of DCP. It's going to be available on bombhole.com, limited edition, autographed.
Shouts to Andy.
Yeah, right here.
Let's get you guys one of these on your wall, framed.
I also think about the fact that there's things that have gone down since, like in Follow Me Around, you went back and backside 7'd it. And there's a shot where you have a black eye after. Did you knee yourself in the face on that? Is that the story behind it?
It's not even like the black eye. It's part of the editing.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, it was not from that hit.
Yeah.
It was from something different.
Oh, you had a black eye, but it wasn't that.
I didn't have the black eye on that of that jump.
Yeah.
That was the same season. I hit my knee, and then it was actually in
magic.
Switzerland.
Wow.
It happened in Switzerland, the black eye, on the solid jump with David Vladica filming. And they had, I think it was, yeah. And somehow they got the footage and then they put it together.
Okay, it was the edit. It was
It's part of the
A
edit.
little bit of
but
movie magic.
It's kind of wild when you look at the DCP Cliff too, because you have that year when you back 3'd it, it was like pretty natural running. You didn't have to re-landscape, but then it also fills in with like a 15-foot tall wind lip above it. Look, the year you back 7'd it, and the year Andreas back rodeo 7'd it.
Yeah, that was a little different. It's always shaped different. And, the thing at that point, filming with MacDog, you're not hiking up the landing to going checking out the snow because you want it pristine, You don't want any weird shot. If you come short, they probably won't even use any shots from,
True.
At that point, it was like you put your hand down. It better be big. Otherwise, it's like, so we trusted that the landing was fine. We're just at the top, like throwing a snowball and yeah, maybe. Okay.
You didn't even probe it or anything, huh?
Yeah, no
There could be
probe,
peppers
nothing.
in there. You never know.
We're just like, it should be good. Let's go.
I mean, these guys were just some confident French Canadians, huh?
It was fun. It was
fun.
That kind of stuff was just what we lived for, just like that rush of like, am I scared right now? And then the mix with I got this, that battle of like fear, confidence, overcoming fear, and then riding
Superhero
away
shit
with
right
it.
there.
Yeah.
It's so wild to think that becomes a pattern of like, if you think about what a pro snowboarder does, is that you're like, especially video part pro snowboarder, is like, okay, I'm in a situation where I'm really scared and I'm just going to go. And that becomes kind of normal.
Yeah, you get used to it, what you guys do, huh?
Yeah, you get used to it.
That's your daily
Yeah.
routine.
And you actually get to like that a lot. And it's a neuro response, in some way. Like it gets ingrained in your neuro system where there's those chemicals released when you're doing that.
Endorphins
And the dopamine, and like you're like it's kind of a drug in some way, you know what I mean? Like, because like it's a naturally released drug in your body that, at some point I wouldn't call it an addiction, but it's kind of like you want more of it, So it's like, ooh, I love that. And that's what keeps you going. That's what keeps the progression going, because you experience that emotion and you're like, I love that emotion. It felt great. And then at some point you're like, oh, well, now that emotion doesn't give me as much, so I probably need to go bigger. And then you seek for bigger feature, and it's like, well, maybe we don't need to build anything now because we've done that. And now what if we went as big but off something natural? And then that's just kind of like what progression. I think it's really related to the emotion that it provides you,
I mean, I'd say it's definitely an addiction.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
you just want more. And it's dangerous addiction, too, because you guys can take it too far. And
Yeah.
somehow you guys just always do your shit, though. And
Healthier than methamphamine, though.
way healthier than crystal
way
meth.
healthier.
It doesn't rot your skin out from an inside out and
No, it's
age you 40 years.
It is some kind of an addiction because even like because recently with my injury, I actually dealt with that in some way because I was like, it was a transition phase, kind of like wanting to keep doing the stuff that provided me with those emotions, with those feelings and those chemical release and and then now I'm more like, well, I want to keep riding. I want to keep riding and having fun and just like riding powder and like riding with my kids and my friends and sending it off stuff that maybe of less consequence. And then in my mind, it's like, am I going to get the same satisfaction from that? 20 years of 25 years of pro snowboarding career. And so, you're just going to come to an acceptance that it's like, actually, that's enough. Like you can get this.
it can be enough, yeah.
It can be enough. You don't always have to like push it to the limits to be satisfied. And that's kind of work with life too, I found out. So that's been great. Another good thing that I learned through this injury is like to just be satisfied with what you already have and what you don't always need more.
You can dial it back a little bit.
Yeah, dial
still
it back.
get
I like to use the term like turn the volume down.
Yeah.
Because when you're a pro, you're cranked up to 10 at all times.
For sure.
And you don't need to snowboard at 10 to enjoy it.
Exactly.
But that dump that we're talking about, that adrenaline dump, that clip high, it's so funny. You see like I'd come home after I get a clip and my partner will be like, she just know, because I'm just on cloud nine. It's like I'm a drug addict. I'm just like, chatterbox. Yo, what are we doing? Like just feeling great. But there is that euphoric, when you do step out of your comfort zone, it does work. That euphoria is hard to top.
And it's infectious. Sure. I come home because he got a dope shot, I got a dope photo.
Yeah.
I'm dancing around the crib too, and the wife's like, you're flying too close to the sun. You got to step back. You got to relax a little bit.
Flying too close to the sun.
You're going to get burnt.
You're going to get burnt one of these days.
No, absolutely. And I mean, that's the beauty of snowboarding too, because everybody, whatever their level are, they get to push each other. They get to push themselves towards getting better and learning a new trick. Or, it doesn't have to be the biggest, but it's still that same thing for everyone, And
the person 50-50 in the box for the first time.
Yeah.
That's on the ground might get that same feeling as the back three on the DCP Cliff.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that's such a great, snowboarding is so healthy. It's so amazing.
On the subject of healthy, I know you're not afraid to kind of get deep in the sense of maybe spirituality and things like that, personal growth. And I know that you kind of have a deep connection with the mountains and deep connection with nature. Do you want to just elaborate on like snowboarding and the importance of the connection with nature and presence and things like that?
Great question. I really think that nature is the most amazing place to be. We're very lucky, with snowboarding, there's the mountains. The mountains are mystical. They're big. They just have so much to offer, so much great energy in it. And then the ocean, similarly, I feel like with surfing and it's just such a great connection with nature, with the element of nature. And that element is an energy, it's a vibration, and nature vibrate. To go too deep, but like we're vibrating at the same vibration. Our art vibrate at the same vibration as nature. So when we have that connection, that true connection with nature, it's like having a connection with ourselves. And essentially, like that's probably why I'm attracted to that. To that time in nature, just like the calmness and in the mountains, the calmness, and even there's this little bird that's like and the snow, the color of the snow, and just the brightness of the reflection of the sun, just all that I don't know. It's an energy. We're energy. Nature's energy. We're the same energy. We're all together in this. So the animals, the birds. And the snow. The snow is water. We're made out of water. So there's all that similarity that makes it that I think that connection with just nature is us. And so for me, I love to visit a city and I love skateboarding. So it's concrete. But truly what I love best is snowboarding or surfing or mountain biking, hiking, just because you are immersed in nature and the smell, just the look of it, and the touch. You touch the rock, the snow, everything feels just right.
Yeah, the smell of the mountains on a fresh powder day is incredible.
Absolutely.
The smell of snow.
With all the senses, feeling the mountain.
The cold air even coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's so awesome, and so I do miss that. I had a little bit of time last winter, but I've lived in the tropics for the last 3 years, and so we're going back. We're now back in the mountains in Squamish, and I'm very excited about that because I did miss that smell of the snow.
Are you just packing up Costa Rica or just and moving for good?
Well, for right now, we are.
Wow.
We were there since February of 2020 with the intention to spend 1 year there. We spent 2.5 plus years, and now it's time for our daughter Lily, who's 16, to take charge, take the decision to she wants to finish high school, get her driver license, So, she's got the power, and we want to empower her to take that type of decision. So we're going.
It's so rad. She wants to finish high school.
Yeah, she wants to finish high school.
She's
Like the way
family back to
she
the real life.
pictures it, with friends, more people at school.
Yeah.
Maybe dropping into a lunch on Friday, in town, walking there. Like the school she was in Costa Rica was amazing. Or I would say, and it's amazing, and it's in the middle of the jungle. You take a bus there, there's nowhere to walk to go for lunch, or there's maybe 8 or 10 other students in her class, and so
that's it.
Yeah, and a lot of them also went back to United States or Europe or wherever they were from to finish high school. So she lost a lot of friends in the last 2.5 years that lived there. And so, so not only for that are we all going back, but that's the main reason. But we all also miss snowboarding, and our own resort of Whistler. Like we're just want to get back and get into it. And Reef wants to snowboard, Lily wants to snowboard, Mags is super excited to go shred, and so am I. So we'll be good.
It's so cool that you got a family of rippers, dude.
Yeah, it's incredible. Reef Chief.
Yeah, super lucky. And also, they grew up with other friends their age from other family that snowboards a lot. They're very good friends with the Cummins and with the Sullivans, and even just inspired by Warble's family to see where Cody and Jack are making it to. We met those guys; they were tiny, and so I think that inspires our kids to just want to get out there and just be like do it with their parents, surfing, skating, snowboarding. And we're very lucky that they want to do that.
I'm sure there were some frustrating years when you're younger, but it's got to be fun now.
Yeah, or just it was. I wouldn't say it was frustrating, but it's sometimes it can be seen as a sacrifice in some way. Like, I'll hit the bunny slope right now and help you up, and it's 2 foot of fresh on peaks just opening. It's bombing. You get the text like, "Oh my God, best run ever! See you at Dusty's."
It's always the best run ever.
But helping your kid down the bunny slope also can be the best run ever.
Absolutely,
that's a great feeling, I imagine.
Yeah, and I'm so excited for them to after that break, get back in the mountains, and with the skills that they got through skating and surfing the last 2 years, how are they gonna translate that into getting back on a board that has binding?
Does it help?
I think it helps. And
how does it help?
Has it helped?
Yeah. How does it help? I want to know.
How does it help? Well, you're standing sideways. You're feeling. You're trying things. You're trying them. You achieve them. So it's all kind of the same. You're learning a lot of lessons. You need to stay in the moment and pay attention, or you're going to cut your edge. Just like skating, you stop paying attention, you're hitting it hard, on concrete and off the coping or whatever. Surfing, same thing. You're so in the moment surfing. As soon as you drop in and, everything comes in and it's different and you adjust. So that, to me, it helps with freeriding, because it's like freeriding, like a on-site slope, basically. So I think it helps. For me, it helps. So maybe for them, it will. We'll see.
No, I love that. I always wonder about that with surfing, and there's a bunch of things that going back to the addiction, the thing that's so funny, talk about getting a clip being a high, when you get a good wave, you're like, "Oh, I'm going in after this one." You get a good one, you're like, "I'm not going in. I'm going right back out and catching another one."
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, again.
Yeah, and so I think with surfing, there's that element that we just discussed, but I think there's an added element, because a wave is energy, and it gets created thousands of miles away by a huge storm, and then it travels across the ocean, and it gets separated and more aligned depending on the intensity of the storm, and then it reaches the shallow ends, either the reef or the sandbar, and then all that energy folds over itself, and you're there to capture that wave, and you're riding it, and then after that it washes out shore, and that's it. So you're capturing some of that energy, 100%. So I think that adds to that that feeling that you have to get a good one, and like what you want to like, get a better one, but also you're feeding off this energy that traveled, and it's just kind of like, I want another one. I want that again.
It's interesting. The feeling after surfing is almost like the feeling after yoga or something. Whereas it's not always the same. I mean, with snowboarding, it's like that a lot. It's just, it seems like it's a little more connected, maybe a little more meditative, but it's interesting thinking about the train, like you just said. It's like it's never there again. It always changes. With snowboarding, you ride a powder run, you rip down turns. The train changes to a degree. I mean, slope style, rails, they can be very similar, repetitive features, but riding natural terrain, it's always going to change. Surfing's always going to change. Skateboarding, always the same.
Yeah, for sure. That's a difference. And that's why I think that, I like snowboarding and surfing the best out of the three because of that element of new and that element of connection with nature.
All right, we're going to get into a guest question. This guest question is presented by 686, Buds, isn't it?
It is. 686 is a rad company. Back in 1992, my buddy Mike West, 30 years ago, dude, started this company. And he was cool enough a couple of years later to sponsor myself, which is pretty rad.
Stony Buds.
Yeah, Stony Buds back in action. And I've been able to kind of see this company over the past 30 years just evolve into the juggernaut that it is today. And it's been incredible. And the cool thing about Mike is he surrounds himself with rad people. You look at people like Patrick McCarthy, Forrest Bailey, myself, Blotto, George Cavallo, who you mentioned earlier, works over there now. I mean, he's a smart guy. He just brings the right people around him. He has a passion for snowboarding, and I think a lot of companies, don't have snowboarders behind them, so that's really important. They also have really strong eco-friendly initiative, which is a really good thing in today's world. They're always worried about their carbon footprint, and that's the attitude we need to see all brands taking, or else we might see winters just kind of dry up. They also have a new program going where they're expanding into a new category with streetwear. They're talking about a small line of tech clothing designed for climbing, hiking, mountain biking, even parkour, if you will. I don't know if that's your thing. Chris is kind of down for that sometimes.
Yeah, we get parkour going at the office, jump off the trash cans.
Yeah, whatever we need to do. Or if it's in my case, maybe loungewear, because it's very comfortable as well as technical. So it's cool to see 686 just evolve over the years and become the company that Mike had kind of envisioned when he started this thing 30 years ago. So do yourselves a favor, check out 686.
Okay, let's get into a guest question for none other than Lucas Huffman, an old war dog of yours. Here we go.
Hey, bomb holers. Hey, DCP. Stoked you're on the show. I'll be happy to listen to the episode. I've got a kind of like broad snowboard and life approach question for you. I remember that when I was on my way out of my snowboard career, you were on your way in. And we rode a lot, we sessioned a lot of jumps together, and it was very clear that you represented the future when we would go out and ride together, because I would get pretty mentally and physically torched pretty quickly, and meanwhile, you just had like boundless amounts of enthusiasm for hitting a jump and the overall stoke. And so my question is, can you like get us a little slice into your like heart and your soul, I guess, about what it was that made you so motivated to go snowboarding back in those days? And then a kind of underlay or two, my guess is that you approach your daily life like this. What's your like secret to keep so much energy going in both your spirit and in your little legs there? All right, guys. See you later.
Nice. Yeah, great question, Lucas. And love you, man. We had such a good time hitting jumps, snowboarding together. You've been such a huge inspiration for me, actually. Probably more than you think or ever known. For me, actually, all that stoke was just because I loved to do it so much. I really enjoyed being in the mountains and being with people like you, and like the people involved in snowboarding I feel like are also all following their passion and their dreams, and that, we feed off of each other a lot. And I'm inspired by guys like you, Lucas, and other guys that I got to, and girls that I got to snowboard with. I'd say though, like my energy level, I guess I was never labeled as anything, but you know, as a kid, I had the energy as well. My mom just would say, just come back at 10 p.m. Just go play outside. You know, I'll ring the bell when it's dinner time. I don't want to see you in here. Just go play. You know, go skate, go whatever. So I always had energy, I guess, but for snowboarding, and I guess surfing and whenever in my life is, if I enjoy something very much, I love to do it, and I just want to do more of it and just keep going. And it's kind of like a dynamo, I guess. Like I get fuel, I get energy from doing it. So, you know, as soon as I get started, then it just provide more energy. And so it used to be I can pipe and we'll just hike faster. Can I squeeze one more run in, you know? And same for jumps, because we will not get a shuttle with a snowmobile or any bump. Like we just hike the jumps that we do, and we set up a boot pack, and then we hike, and then we keep trying, and then we either land a trick, but we want to do it better, or we just want to do a better trick than the other guy, and so is the other guy. So it's like a competition in a way, but it's more of an inspiration. Like, oh, Lucas just opened this jump with a switch back 5. I wanted to do that, but I can't. He's already done it. So what is it going to be, you know? And certain jumps work for certain tricks. So then you get all creative, like, I'm going to do a front 7, or I'm going to do that trick, or I'm going to just have a 180. I'm going to switch back 7. And then that feels you because you end up doing it. And then you look at what the other guy's doing, and then you just want to be in the session. And so, yeah, for me, it was always just that passion, the stoke, and the feeling I was getting out of it. And that was an energy, truly. And I was attracted to that energy. And in my life, I find myself being attracted to energy that makes me feel good. And I want more of it, right? And now it's a little different. You know, what makes me feel good is maybe different than back then, but it's the same. At the end of the day, it comes back to love, and what I love doing is being in those feelings in that moment. So I want more of it.
Very well articulated
Very well.
answer. A couple things I just wanted to add to that, if you don't mind. But we've talked about it on the show. I don't know why this always comes back. It's a reoccurring theme. Sorry if I sound like we're beating a dead horse, if people have heard this, but the idea of the passion compass, like whatever your passion is your compass that calibrates you in the right direction. I think is such a good like especially for parenting or something too. But it's like, oh man, I really love welding. I really love skateboarding. It doesn't matter what the fuck it is. I really like music. It's like, well, if you really like it, like it's a good North Star, so to speak. And I liked what you said earlier too about like the domino effect too, because it's such an interesting one where you have energy and you go use it and you get more energy. It's like, I can explain it inversely where you're like, I'm tired. And so you sit on the couch and then you just are still tired. But if you're like, I'm tired, and then you go on a mountain bike ride, you're like, whoa, I have energy. So I don't know. I thought I like what you said there. Those are my 2 little snippets.
No, absolutely. And I feel like that's how it works for me anyways. Like if I do wake up and I feel tired, or I feel maybe not creative and unmotivated, because that happens, you know, we're all humans, then it's a matter of choosing to start the day with something I like, and then therefore it fuels a day filled with something that I love, and then that gets my creativity back, and then the stoke on life and on whatever else I'm doing. In the same way, it's like my brother was in this programming computer class recently, and my dad's calling, and he's like, yeah, he's failing, and he doesn't like it at all. He really hates it, and I don't know what to do. And even if he got 100%, he's not gonna finish. And I was like, well, tell him to quit. Just tell him to find out what he likes, and then he does it. You know, like it's it's college, like don't just go because you're doing it. Like if you're not going to do something you like and then that's going to become your career, that's going to be miserable for you, for a long time. So then he's like, oh yeah, totally. So then my brother ended up just quitting the program and now is just more stoked on starting this September into graphic design as opposed to programming. So that's just everybody has their own passion. But as long as that you're actually doing what you love, then that's when magic happens. Otherwise it's kind of hard. Life is harder when you do something you don't like.
Yeah, and it's also okay that if you pick computer programming and you think you want to do it and then you realize you don't, that's also okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like fuck, you don't have to just like you're saying. It's great. I love that. Well, I want to get back into snowboarding because there's a huge topic. I think we have a Patreon question, Buds, in regards to Uninc.
All right, we got a Patreon question from our good friend Benny Pellegrino, and I don't know what we do without these questions week to week.
We got another, basically a similar question from another Patreon member too. Let's give him a shout out.
We're gonna give, let's see here, Johnny Mandino a shout out as well because he also wanted to hear the backstory on this same question. So Benny asked, David, tell us about the birth of Uninc. Secondly, how it all went down to leave Burton and start Yes. So it's kind of a long one, I guess. There's a lot to that.
Benny, Johnny, thanks for the question. So Uninc started with Burton and Roman DeMarchi, JP Solberg, Gigi Roof, and Jeffy Anderson. Jeffy was actually, one of the kind of like the creative force behind Uninc when it started. It started in Norway, in Amsterdam, where we had a big jump session. That's when we all first met, and Rennie Hansen, who was team manager at the time, brought in the idea of like starting something together and getting out of the, the custom and the 7 and those other not sub-brand, but like categories of Burton, and doing something as a crew. And so that was the start of the conversation. And then the GDK office, who the design office of Burton at the time, held like a little bit of a brainstorm of what are we going to call this thing, and so it became Uninc, as in unincorporated, and we had the logo became a piggy bank with an X on top of it, which represented no entry of money or no corporate push, like basically full creativity. You guys get to choose what is the shape of your board, what graphic goes on it. We have no say. And their thing on the business sense was very, very cool because they wanted to honor the core store, like the mom and pop core store, like the owned by skateboarders, owned by snowboarder stores, as opposed to the bigger chain. So they limited the sale of those Uninc boards to fulfill like the Milo, that Benny store, and like the all those ones, like the Circle and and the Wave Rave, just the ones that really had like where the snowboarding heartbeat was coming from at that time. Not that any of the other stores were, not relevant, but this was snowboarding, and so that's exactly what happened. So we were being creative, we were filming, we were choosing the artists and doing all that. So that became very fun for our crew. And then on year 2 already, Jeffy passed away, which was tragic. It was really tragic because he was like such a huge part of that crew and that initiative. And then we kept going, and we worked with Billy on getting some graphics that represented Jeffy to keep going a couple years to honor him. And then, so the second part of the question is like, and then how did it translate to starting Yes? Well, I feel like what happened was that there was a new person coming to Burton in the financial department, and they looked at numbers That's always kind of how it works. They look at spreadsheets like, okay, well, we're paying these guys that much, but we're limiting sales of those boards to only sell that many. That doesn't work for us, So like, I feel like that kind of came to, it wasn't sabotage because self-sabotage, but it is like kind of like we wanted to be that crew that's not overselling, not, doing that. But yet at the end, it's kind of like, well, we're paying them too much for what they bring us. Although, at the end of the day, there's outerwear, there's boots, there's gloves, there's all this stuff. But it felt like that's what it came to. And there was a big shift. I think a bunch of other people got cut that same year. And so it was pretty harsh in some way because we all felt, and I certainly felt as part of the family, and I maybe was able to keep doing this forever and then just like, kind of keep working with them. And so it wasn't the case. We were just like, all right, that's it. You want a pro form? We can give you one. Like, we're like, what? Oh, we're good.
You want a pro form?
No, seriously, that was on the table.
That was on the table, huh?
I was like, yeah, no, I think we're not done with our snowboarding career. Like, I'm going to look for another sponsor. Thank you.
We're going to rip up your current contract, and here is a pro form.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, no, thanks. So much gratitude for all of the people at Burton anyways. But now that created another opportunity. And Roman actually is Swiss, and he had a relationship with Henry Nidecker from Switzerland, from Roll, and that's where we are based. And they, together with this other guy, Jim from Geneva, thought about this concept. They actually wanted to do like a skateboarding, like a seasonal release, 4 release a year, limited edition boards, and that's how the idea of Yes was starting. And so Raman wanted to have partners with him, and so he reached out to myself and JP Solberg, which we were very good friends at the time already, and so we started all together with the support of the Nidecker family, Henry Nidecker. So we all were learning and going from pro snowboarding to entrepreneurship and owning a business, and we were running basically marketing, design, and the Nidecker were running the logistic on distribution and sales and collecting the money and being the back founder of it. And then that, gradually just improved, and so that's how it started. Really, it was almost by luck. And I can even go deeper in the fact that we were at ASR, Grenade movie premiere night, and Raman had a meeting with Ronki. He was the team manager at Rome, and he was going to get on that brand. They were on a rooftop of some pool hotel and just drinking, and Raman calls me, all right, get on the train from Encinitas, come and meet us. He's got a contract for you too. He's got an offer. All right. I was like, really? All right. I jump in on the train. By the time I get there, they're wasted. And I mean, they're having fun. Let's say, put it that way. They're having fun.
I like the way this is going.
They're having fun, and then we're like, all right. Well, we never discussed any of that. We're
the
just
business never came up.
No, I'm just rolling up and like, here's a beer. All right, let's go. Premiere tonight. Danny Cass is a movie and this and that. And like, all right. Raman orders a limo for all of us to jump in to go to that movie premiere. And while we were waiting, they're wrestling, and he just gets him in a Navy SEAL choke.
He gets Ronki in one.
Ronki in one. Ronki passes out, falls on the ground.
No.
Limo rolls up, and then we're like getting him in there. And he came back. He was like, oh, man, that was crazy. And then he goes to Rama and he goes, for the record, don't you ever choke your possible new future team manager? Offers off the table.
Whoa!
Yeah, so
that's an epic story.
So then from then, that's when Yes was founded. So, thanks to Raman, obviously. Raman's been actually the
thanks to
founder
Roman
of
for
Yes.
choking Ronki.
Yeah, and how many years ago was this?
That was now like 13 years ago.
So, yeah, we're talking about a brand that's now been in business for 13 years, all because of a Vegas choke out.
Yeah, it was like a San Diego choke out.
San Diego.
Yeah.
That's even better. San Diego choke out.
But also, Roman was definitely the force behind it and got me and JP involved. And so I'm very grateful for him for like his connection and the birth of Yes, for sure.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that Burton, they designed this whole company around selling less and being Uninc. And then some guy just comes in and, this isn't working. Always comes back to money with big brands. And you got to, I guess, remember that, huh?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Well,
So
the thing
it's
it's
the bottom
interesting
line.
too, thinking about that, is that that might be if you're looking at a direct sales, but there's also the factor of making a brand cool.
Yeah,
right?
and making Burton cool.
Making Burton cool. Right?
Yeah.
So Uninc, from my
Mine too.
perspective, made Burton cool. And that, although as a line item might be hard to explain to somebody that doesn't understand that weird intangible thing in snowboarding, but what you guys were doing was taking the brand and making it cool. Forget all the stuff with the shops like that. That was the message, I thought, in my opinion,
and it was working.
And
I
I
took the
think
best riders from Burton.
I think that was the intention of Renee and those guys, Jake and whoever else was involved in that creative process. It's just that I think every few years they bring in a new financial advisor, CFO, whatever you call that person. And then that person might not have been in the know or in the industry or even a snowboarder. We don't know.
He might not even have to be, though. He might just go to Jake and be like, dude,
Just
you're bleeding money, man.
Yeah,
Like,
kind of like, why are we
has to
paying
go.
this guy,
Yeah.
this guy, this girl, this guy, these guys?
Because at the end of the day, Jake knew why it was created, And he probably just didn't have a choice. Like, business is hard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a
So,
tough
I mean,
thing.
it happened, and it's, every opportunity is a new opportunity. A door closes, a door opens. For us, we just took that right in and then created our own brand, and now we're very stoked and lucky that, we were able to be part of this community and this industry.
It's important to have that attitude, though, that positive attitude. A door closes, a door opens. Some people, the door closes, and they just crawl into a hole.
door closes and mad at the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Going
and
back,
they start pointing fingers.
What were the early issues of entrepreneurship that what was the learning curve must have been gnarly. So what were some of the early issues you guys had? Or?
Well, I guess we're all learning. We went from barely finishing high school to pro snowboarding, traveling the world, learning the school of life, which we did quite good at. I feel like street cred,
school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
But when we went into business, there's all those other elements. Like, it's a business. You want to be sustainable. You want to put out a product that actually works good. And I think all of us, the three of us, really, that's what we had in mind, was like, we're going to make sure that, whatever we put out there is what we ride and it's good. And then from there comes the business. And so we did that for a while, supported the people that we really wanted to be involved. And then, there's always some little kinks, maybe a factory doesn't do it properly like you want it to be. And then there's warranty issues, or there's a little issue there, here and there, or late deliveries. And those are all details that, we had to learn, and we had to all learn together as a group to make it better. But the good thing is that we all wanted to make it better. So we all had the common goal to, learn and make it good. And then so there was a lot of learning curves, but, at the end of the day, it comes down to learning. And nobody is a pro at this, There's always opportunity to grow more and learn more. And so I'm very grateful for that, for the Yes School, and for all those boys and retailers involved, distributors, reps, everybody seems to have something that we can learn from, and therefore make the brand better.
What was it like going from big Burton budget to all of a sudden you probably weren't even getting paid?
Yeah, we didn't get paid for years. lucky for us, we had other sponsors to support our journey, and so that was really good.
You just made it work.
Made it work, yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. We just, again, comes back down to passion. We started a new project, so that added some fuel to what we wanted to achieve, and at the same time, we were not done with our snowboarding and where we wanted to push ourselves to, and so we still had those same opportunities to film and to keep filming with the big brands and Absinthe, and and then we made our own movie, which added some other excitement to it, because that's what we were used to doing, is like filming, creating content. And so I think that, yeah, I guess the big contract versus the smaller contract, it didn't affect us that much because of the support of other sponsors. They sponsored the movie project. This gave us travel budget to do it, and then they also supported us in ways where we could support ourselves and our family, and then keep doing the job without payment for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's rad.
Talking about the team, it's kind of cool to think as well. You guys have always had a rad team, and I remember, for me, I was close with Frank April, who got his start with Yes, and then ultimately moved on to Arbor. One of the coolest team moves lately is Dustin Craven. That's exciting, right? Yeah,
Dustin is such a G and such a good human, and he's so talented, such a charger. I was so glad to see him this year, like win Baldface, natural selection, and just like do so good at that, and creating his own movies. Oh boy, oh man. I don't know which the next one's called, but yeah, I liked his writing and his enthusiasm and his like explosiveness. He kind of reminds me of Roman in some way, and it's good to have him on the team. Very, very thankful for him to be waving our flag.
I love it. Well, let's get into name that video part. Woo! Here we go. Name that video part is presented by the Icon Pass, buds.
It is. From East Coast to West, across Canada, the European Alps to Japan and beyond, the language barrier has just been broken. To turn up the fun factor, the Icon Pass welcomes 3 legendary destinations to its family of mountains. We're talking about Chamonix in France, Sun Valley, Idaho, and Snow Basin right here in Utah, Chris.
That is right here, buds. You're absolutely right. Additionally, new pass options have been added to the mix, starting at only $269 adult. The Icon Pass Session 2-Day and the Icon Pass Session 3-Day offer a range of affordable entry points. It's time to bring the stoke in and get ready to let the joy out with an Icon Pass in hand across 50 of the best mountains in the world. Head on over to iconpass.com. Now, DCP, how are we feeling for Name That Video part?
Feeling good, for sure.
Well, since this is actually, I'm not even gonna say. Never mind.
Don't say.
We'll see how you do. Yeah, confidence level 0 through 10.
Middle of the road.
Sank,
sis.
In cat, sank, sis.
Yeah, 5 or 6, I guess.
5 or 6.
Okay, here we go.
Jolene.
That's a Chile part in a MacDog movie, and it's in Follow Me Around.
I think that's correct. Yeah. Well, you got yourself a prize pack, which is behind your chair.
Yeah. Love that song.
We already did this podcast, and I used the exact same song in February.
You did, didn't you?
And I think you got it in February.
You got it again. You got it again.
So
all right.
Our good friends over at Yeti sent us that bag. So it's called a carry-all. We got a bomb hole carry-all from our friends at Yeti. And then they also loaded that up with Slow Tide merch. We got a Slow Tide towel and Slow Tide blanket. They're a really cool snowboard company. They support snowboarding. They support surfing. They make ponchos if you go surfing. They got all kinds of cool collaborations. That's a little blanket right there.
Very cool.
So if
Thank you,
if you're
guys.
in-
I'm very grateful for that. That's sweet. I'll use that.
If you're interested in heading on, getting some Slow Tide stuff, head on over to slowtide.co. Use promo code BOMBHOLE for 15% off, I believe. Something like that. We also got Bombhole merch in there, available where, buds?
At bombhole.com.
Yes, not bhole.com, bombhole.com. Make sure you get that right.
Thank you so much. I love that. That's great.
This guy gets 2 prize packs.
Yeah, he does. You got one before, right?
I did.
Was it? Do we have the carry-all, or was it the same thing?
No,
I
there
don't
was.
think we had
It was a
carry
tote.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was different. I did have that cup, and I drank out of it like almost every other day out of Costa Rica
Now
this
you got
last
a new
couple
one
of
to
years.
bring to Whistler.
This last year, anyways. Yeah, that's awesome. Stoked on that.
Okay, for part 2 of Name That Video Part, this is for the listeners. So if you know this song and you want to say what video part it is, comment on Instagram on DCP's photo on our Bombhole Instagram when this comes out. That's where we pick our winner. And you get what, buds?
You're going to get a prize pack.
Yeah, we'll probably sprinkle in a little CBDayz in
Little
there
sprinkle. Let's sprinkle.
too. A little sprink. Here we go. Okay, thank you guys for playing.
That was a quick
Name
one.
That Video Part.
Jolene's a good song.
Oh, yeah.
That
let's-
song too, yeah.
Jolene.
Follow me around. While we're talking video
Jolene.
parts, so there's Jolene's a good that's Mac Dog, and then there's you rode to No Effects, Separation of Church and Skate.
Yeah.
Great song.
Someone sing that so I can remember it. DCP?
It's like really
Oh,
fast.
okay.
It's all right. I
Lost
don't know the
in a
lyrics.
sea of combat boots.
You sound like him, dude.
I forget.
Good
Yeah.
job, dude.
Bam, bam.
I know the song.
Are you a
now.
NoFX fan?
I am a NoFX fan. Huge
Big
fan.
NoFX fan, huh?
Yeah, I really love NoFX from the get-go. You know, when they had, but Mike Dog used to throw that in there in his movies.
Was that
and-
what got you your love for him? Like you saw him in shred movies and you were just like,
Absolutely.
this is dope.
Where I'm from, like in Chicoutimi, like I think my friends and I are responsible for punk rock to come into the scene because
Wow.
HMV or wherever that, you know, where they sold those CDs didn't have that. Not there, you know, and we ordered all those like Pennywise, Lagwagon, NoFX, Dead Kennedys. Like we were the first one to order them. And then it was sold elsewhere, but not in our hometown. So then they brought that in, and then that was all due to the snowboarding flicks and the skateboarding ones.
That's cool. You're responsible for bringing punk rock to Chicoutimi.
The Shit Hook, it's actually
Shit
called.
Hook. Well, they didn't have the internet, you know. They couldn't go look it up.
Yeah, or at least like for people to sell. Some people probably went to Montreal and
Yeah,
got it,
true.
or Quebec City. But like for the shred community, I think that
You
came.
brought it.
and- Yeah.
Love that.
And that's such a cool thing. The punk is such nostalgia now watching videos, because a lot of times you'll watch a video, it'll be like some weird electronic, like misty,
Hard to
kind of like it's
get
almost like
hyped
a
on.
weird like nightclub dive bar. You're like, what is this like song? I'm certainly not going to listen to it on the way up the hill.
Yeah, a little
But then,
emo
then you go
side to it.
no effects, and
You're hyped.
it just gets you going. It's like those fast old, the Pennywise and there's, they had Foo Fighters and everything in those old Mac Dog videos.
Yeah, so
Iconic.
thrilled on that. And funny fact with NoFX is, well, my sister, she's in a band. She's a lead singer and guitar player. Her band is called Les Shirley, out of Montreal. And recently, this last 2 months, they ended up opening up for NoFX.
No way.
Yeah, so in this music festival in Trois-Rivières, it's between Quebec City and Montreal. It was a big punk festival with 20,000 people, and then they were playing right before NoFX and got to hang out with them backstage. And
You couldn't go because you're in Costa Rica. Huh?
yeah, I wasn't there, but like to me, I was like, oh man, I was like,
Your inner child.
maybe
was
I'm like
freaking-
more stoked than she is. I don't know how much she loves NoFX, but I was just like, yeah,
That's
sister.
so sick. Little sidebar, my first concert I ever went to was a Warped Tour, and I went to the Warped Tour to see NoFX. So I always say my first concert was a NoFX concert.
Wow.
I used to be super into all the punk and drublick and everything. Great. Great music. So yeah,
Did your love come from Mac Dog movies as well?
Nah, actually,
Nah.
my sister. She's the one who kind of was like, "You should listen."
Older
to punk.
sister throwing cool stuff at you.
But maybe there was a lot of that in like skate and snowboard music definitely influenced. That
Yeah, it always
for sure.
goes hand in hand. It's kind of a cool thing.
Going back to that, part, you go back to the DCP Cliff, you back 7, that thing. Great part. I want to know, what do you prefer? Step down or cheese wedge?
Ends down, step down for me. Definitely less build, first of all. You get to snowboard more because you don't have to build for hours. And I like that feeling of having this little platform with a little bit of kick, just so you can throw your trick, and then you're on the edge of the world, and you're stepping down, or you have to you get airtime, but it's not all like with speed. You have less speed, but you still get crazy airtime. I like it the best.
I have a Patreon question.
Yeah.
This is from Jesse Bell. And he says, first of all, what is it like sitting on top of those huge cliffs before you drop? What are you thinking? What's going on in your head? And what are you feeling?
Great question.
Because I'd be up there crying. I don't even want to look off those things.
Well, like I was just saying, like there's my favorite type of jump. So for me, like there's a mix of emotions when I'm feeling what I'm up there. It's a little bit of fear because obviously you don't want to come short. You don't want to overshoot it. You don't want to land on, go the right way. You don't want to land on a rock or on a tree or something. So there's that fear, but at the same time, it's like this knowing, this confidence that you can do it. And that mix of both creates that feeling that's like, all right, I'm going to overcome that fear because I know that at the end, it's going to feel really good. It's going to be like, oh, that was effortless. That was like, So it's a mixed feeling, but it's exciting. And it keeps me want to do more of it.
The payoff's worth it.
The payoff is way worth it.
And the pro tip is maybe don't do a straighter off a huge one, right?
That would be my pro tip for sure.
Less time to see the landing and just fall pretty much.
So I was always, talking about that, amazed by a guy like Devin Walsh, where he's jumping off big step down, doing switch methods. Switch straight air off like big drops. That's like next level.
Guaranteed, like the slow tip forward to just savage tomahawks.
Just tip.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so step downs are great, and they feel like, it feels scary, but it feels like you can overcome that fear and turn it into a positive experience, and then you ride away and you feel like you achieved, like you're on top of the world. And
do you think speed helps you land easier? Like when Mike LeBlanc's doing giant street ollies, he says speed makes it easier to land, or do you think it's something different?
I guess it depends on the feature. You want to match the landing. So if you have a super steep landing, I feel like you can come in with less speed off of a step down. But if you have a step down that you're clearing a gap and then you need to land in the perfect spot, you want to dial in that perfect speed. And then that's the hard part. That's part of the fear factor.
At the end of the
right?
day, it's a math equation, huh?
Yeah.
Dialing it all
The thing
in.
that I love is like the cheese wedges are like getting shot out of a cannon. You just come in, zzz, and you're like, and they're super fun. But the step down is so nice because you come in, you creep in, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do, say, a cab 5. You're like, you pop like you're gonna do like a half cab almost. You're just like, and then you spin it so slow, and then it's so much. It's such a cool like dropout versus an apex.
Yeah,
totally.
It's interesting.
Both are fun. Don't get me wrong. Like just jumping in general is fun. Just that weightless feeling and that, it's pretty amazing.
I think for a lot, the step down is tough for the blind factor. You really got to trust.
It's about
trust your memory and your eyes and your feelings.
That's a good word for it. Trust.
Trust. Yeah.
Right. You gotta trust yourself.
Trust yourself. Yeah.
You gotta trust the landing has no rocks in it. You gotta trust even like with filming. You gotta trust your crew and if something happens, they'll get you out of there. You gotta trust the photographer, the filmer.
Trust Tony Buzz.
That's like
shot.
Yeah, right there. It's like you throw a snowball and you don't see the landing sometimes.
Yeah.
You got to trust that your filmer or photographer that's on the other side is like, yeah, that's exactly where you want to land, or you need to go a meter further, or like, whatever.
If they're not paying attention, it can be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, exactly. If so, that trust relationship with media and with the rider, it's so important, and the other riders that are involved.
You can get hurt real easy if they don't take it seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we actually, speaking of step downs and cheese wedges, we got an old comrade of yours, Juicebox, a.k.a. UC. He's got a question. Here we go.
Juicebox.
What's up, bomb holes? Juicebox here. Not so windy today. I got a couple quickies for DCP. Can you tell us what happened in Japan when the homeboy grabbed your privates? That was pretty classic. And then maybe just give us a little summary of our first trip to Valdez. How many fun runs versus actual video clips we got. Hope you well, brother. Peace.
That's funny.
It's sick he calls himself Juicebox.
Yeah, Juicebox. Yeah, UC. Great man. I love you, my brother. Thanks for those questions. Earlier I said that I like to remember the good memories. So now this one in Japan, a guy driving my privates at an event, I kind of like don't remember that one so much.
You don't even remember it.
But now that you mention it,
Selective memory.
now that you mention it, I believe it was during a promo tour, movie premiere, Burton thing, and just kind of like rolling up to on stage and just presenting the film, and there's the Japanese fans, and they're very fanatic, and then all of a sudden I'm up front, and this guy just grabs it, grabs the full package, just almost like it's just kind of like sizing me up, or just, I don't know what it was,
He wanted to see if the rumors were true.
Or maybe, or he was just stoked, and
Yeah.
he was just like, yeah, gotcha. I don't know.
That's a new level of stoke. I like it.
So it was interesting.
How'd you react?
I'm pretty sure I just kind of pushed him off and was kind of weirded out by it and just get partying.
That's kind of getting into your personal space.
I was wondering if you were
there.
just going to leave him latched on.
Yeah, the whole
Let
night.
him just kind of
Come on up.
Anybody else line up? Who else wants to take a grab at this
Anybody
thing?
else want to feel this thing?
You win this DVD.
So it doesn't sound like a bad idea, but yeah, okay.
And
part two?
Second question. Yeah, I mean, the first time that we ever took a trip to Alaska, we went to Valdez, and we were for MacDog. We were filming for MacDog. We were with Brad Kramer. Adam Moran was the photographer with us. Josh Dirksen, me, UC. And we decided to go full private heli. And we had the budget, so we were stoked. And whoever was sponsoring Josh at the time too. So it was a mixed budget. We rented this heli for 28 hours. Woo. So it's like 2 weeks, 2 hours minimum a day. And we're at ABA, so we're in the middle of Thompson's Pass in an RV. And the only thing we got to do is, fly and film and shred and learn, right? And so the first few days we're not flying, so the time is accumulating. I think by the time we flew, we had 8 or 10 hours to burn. And so we're like, all right, well, it was our first time here. Let's go shred. And Terrier and Dave Downing had told me to go to warm up on the wall, which was a big run for a warm up. I had no idea. We're like, hi guys, can we go to the wall and take a warm up run? They're like, what? In the Valley of the Tusk, the wall? We're like, yeah. And so they took us actually on the right next to the wall just to do safety check, the snow safety. So we rode this thing that was already the craziest thing I've ever ridden at that point. And now they're like, oh, that wasn't the wall. This is the wall. We're like, oh, okay, let's go. So we get to the top of that. And then everybody's just kind of looking down. You can see straight down, probably 2,000 vert, all the way down spines. And it's the wall was ridden by Noah Selasnek in one of the standard movie, the pink light, super featurey, big, lots of slough. So basically it was like, you can't stop. You got to go to the bottom. And we sent Adam Moran first.
You said Adam first?
Yeah, we're like, well, considering that she'll be taking a lot of photos and we'll get to ride a lot, why don't you just take this run? You know,
It's yours, buddy. Enjoy it.
He was stoked though, and he rode it well, and that was awesome, and that kind of started the whole trip. And next thing we know, we filmed like, you know, maybe 2 handfuls of runs, maybe 7 or 8 runs that we filmed. They all made the movie, and we took, I think, something like 65, 67 free runs.
Wow.
Something like that. And it was epic. That was the best Alaska trip ever because we were just there to film, but at the same time, we had all that 80 time and we're friends and we're all learning. And so that was part of the progress, and we just sent it.
That's a lot of heli time.
That was so fun.
Also, respect to Moran
Yeah.
for being the first one down the wall.
For sure.
Yeah, I got this.
Even though
For
you
sure.
guys are puckered up there too.
Oh, yeah. We're all just like, who's going to go? Adam, you should go for that one, you know? Like, we'll be riding the next few, you know, with you taking a, you know.
Enjoy this one, bud.
Tell us how it was.
That's
It's
awesome.
like sending Stony Buds down first.
Love it.
Yeah, a.k.a. man, that scares me. It just seems like it's so easy to lose your life out there.
I mean, it's big mountain terrain. It's definitely consequential, and definitely you got to give it the respect that it deserves. And you can never know enough in backcountry snowboarding. It's very important to be trained and to know and to keep want to learn. The minute you don't, it's when it slaps you, you know. And when you get cocky, it's like, oh yeah, I got this. Or,
Yeah, don't get comfortable.
gonna
Trust your
get you.
guides.
And Alaska is big, and the slough is real, and it's there's a lot of dangers. But you know, at the same time, most of the riders that get to go to ride Alaska do have ride with calculated risk. You know, it's always a risk in a helicopter or in the backcountry, but you get to prepare yourself for it. You know, you carefully choose your line, and you know where you're going to turn. You anticipate the slough to do this. And what if there's an avalanche? Then where do you go? Do you point it? Do you get on that island of safety? Or what do you do? You know, so there's a lot of preparation usually, but it doesn't always go as planned. Like I've realized in last March, that was in Alaska, but it was Alaska style terrain. And yeah, it's just you take the wrong turn, things can be bad. So every turn is calculated and should be, you should never go down a blind run in Alaska because there's huge cliffs, huge ice chunks. You want to be prepared.
I always think about that clip of Gigi launching like all the way over the entire face in one of the absinthe.
Yeah, that happens. That's crazy.
That happens.
Because also, like, sometimes it's like you look at it from across the valley or into a helicopter. So the cliff you're looking at thinking it's 20 feet could be 50. A wind lip like Gigi, like he was probably thinking, oh, I'll go like, 50 feet down that thing. And he goes 150. And he probably didn't even try to do it. It just happened, right? He's coming with speed, and it's just steeper than he thinks, and just, wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
I like how you said the slough is real.
The slough is definitely real.
So we've been talking a lot about riding powder contests. We talked about, you grew up riding half pipe contests, slope style, and now we have the natural selection. How do you feel about the current state of contests, and also, how do you feel about the natural selection?
I really think that what Travis and that crew's doing with natural selection is like, it's where snowboarding needed to be at as far as competitive snowboarding, in my taste. The way that they're doing it for freestyle backcountry snowboarding is really cool. I really appreciate that. I was watching it from Costa Rica the last 2 years, and it was so awesome to watch. Like, I mean, the way it's also filmed with the drones and the speed drones, and then the way it was put together, I really totally enjoyed it. I think that there's definitely it's great that the women and the men are both in the same terrain and doing it and getting to push each other, and then, you know, essentially like one has to go first, and then he gets a bigger canvas of like what are the options, and then, you know, they determine that with some other contests, and then I think that's pretty cool as well. And then the second guy and the third guy, and then so that kind of like brings it back to like how it is when we're filming, because one has to go first, test the speed, test the jump, know how the snow is, you know, and then so there's all those elements into it that makes it, like, for me, very interesting. The other type of competition, I think people are getting pretty creative as well. Like there's like the game of snow, you know, that's just been happening. I think that's pretty cool. It also pushes creativity and progress and all that stuff. I, you know, at some point I really did enjoy watching those real snow and those video parts with the X Games things. I thought that was also pretty cool because people had more time to and more they would put out their dedication into it and their passion and their style. I like that. Other than that, I haven't followed that much the rest of the snowboarding circuit. I know there's a lot, and you know there's all those there's women competition, men's competition now coming together as, you know, equal pay at least at the natural selection. I think that's great because women's snowboarding really went off the last few years. I really have so much respect for that. You know, it's great to watch.
What do you think about, you know, the rotations in slopestyle? They're getting up to 2100, I believe, something like that, give or take a degree or two. But we're getting into the 21s here. For like, I feel like in your day it was like 10 was like kind of we're getting up there, right?
Yeah, 1080 was a good spin, and it was already a big spin. You know, I mean that's almost like, to me, like 2160 or like quadruple cork and like all this stuff is just kind of mind-boggling to me. Like it's crazy. It's cool. There's not that much style element into it, I don't think. I mean, some people make it stylish, but I think the way the competition is now in that respect is like, okay, well, you know what you need to do to win. That kind of takes away the personality and the style of someone, because you need to do a 2160. Otherwise, you're not even making finals now. So I would much rather see a switchback 5 method like Torgan, or like, you know, a sweet front 7 tail grab, like, you know, those guys are, you know, throwing. So I think for me, that's why the natural selection, I like it better, because they'll do 9s and 7s and 5s all stylish, and that's that, you know, it counts. You can make it, you can win, you know, so.
Very, very well explained. Now, I'd like to get into, you just talked about, you know, early in the show, you talked about your back and your injuries and your road to recovery. And I know that your road to recovery hasn't just been like physical, but it's been also kind of spiritual to a degree. Like you've done a lot of self-help, we'll call it, from plant medicines to meditation to all those types of things in that space. We'll call it the crunchy space. I like to call it crunchy. So in the crunchy space, what have you found to be kind of beneficial for you in life in that little path you've been taking?
Yeah, well, through the recovery of this injury, this neck injury, I feel like I've really tapped into some practices that I had learned previously the last couple of years since I moved to Costa Rica. I took part of this men's training called Omani, and that's when the journey started, I think. I wanted to make change with myself and get some transformation going and become a better person. We constantly have to learn, and that's what a human experience is learning and constantly. So I really enjoy that. And so I wanted to dig deeper into, you know, what are the practices that are available for us to get to that space. And so I learned about meditation and about, deep breathing and going from the fight or flight to the more theta wavelength, and where it's more like that allows, it's kind of like when you're like stress, or like always just trying to hold on to the feeling you get right before you go to sleep, or after you wake up. That wavelength, as we are all energy, is where it's at for. That's where I find out that's where the magic happens. That's when you can manifest what you truly want. And so those are the practices I learned. Yoga, I dove deeper into yoga. It not just for the physical aspect and the stretching, but more the connection between our body and our soul and our spirit. That really helped me. And then just kind of learning how to heal ourselves. Like, the human body is so amazing if you think about it. Subconsciously we're breathing, our heart is pumping blood. There's all those responses that happens in the neural system, and then our kidney is doing its job and our liver is doing its job. So those are all subconscious action that happens, and you don't even have to think about it. But there's also other subconscious action that happens because of what you were exposed to all your life, kind of like reaction of like, somebody cut you off driving and you react like, whoa, what the hell, that's a reaction that's subconscious almost. If you had if you take the choice, you'd probably be like, well, I don't need to flip that person off. Like, I don't know that person. What if she's a crazy one? And maybe I was the one in the wrong in the first place, Then consciously, you can take better decision. So I think like throughout this whole journey that, when I got injured, it just put me back more in the moment of like, hey, we all human have the choice. And that comes back to it. We have the choice to think positive, act positively, or think negatively and act negatively, and therefore our whole world is gonna manifest, gonna revolve, or gonna become reality from those thoughts, those actions, those reactions. So breaking my neck was great. Sounds crazy.
Sounds really crazy.
But it was very scary because I was that close to being paralyzed, or even maybe I could have died. But at the end of the day, it gave me the time to really tap into some of the practices, which I could call, like, you call them crunchy, I call them maybe the ancient practices, the ancient sacred practices. Yoga is part of it. And then just the help of, like, we mentioned plant medicine. Well, it is nature's medicine. It comes from plants or roots or, practices that's been happening for 10,000 years more. It's a brew, or it's a poison from a frog, or it depends what it is. It grows in the nature, and it's also carried on with vibration, music, songs. All that helped me. Anyways, it helped me get back to me, to know what I need, how I feel, how I want to feel, how I want to be in this world. I want to help people. I want to help myself. I want to love myself. I want to love people. And so that helped me, and that helps you heal for sure. And then, there's the physical healing, there's the emotional healing, there's all that stuff, So that definitely helped me. And also, just like on the bigger picture, like I feel like I understand more where other people are coming from, by understanding where I'm coming from. Then I have more patience and more understanding on everybody else, and so then I can react accordingly. I can take the better choice, and so I choose to be healthy, and I choose to live in love and gratitude, and for me that works, and that's what fast track my healing. I think the practice of gratitude is something that really worked for me, but I also feel like it's I've always practiced that, but like consciously practice that like on the daily, and really knowing like what I am grateful for in my life, like what am I satisfied with, and on that note, I could say right now, like what another thing that really helped me is the support of the community of snowboarding, and my friends, my family. When you say like I'm sending you healing vibes, well, you are. This is a vibe. It's a vibration. It's a frequency. You're saying it. You're feeling it. I'm feeling it. And so I really did feel the support and love from the community. And when we, because of the fact that I was in Costa Rica for too long, and anyway, my insurance ran off and we had some bills to pay. We put a fundraiser together, a GoFundMe, and we raised our goal to pay for medical expenses and ongoing treatments and all that. And that helped a lot. But I think not only the financial part, but the vibe and the support and love that I got. And that alone would have carried me through it. And so to you, thank you, Chris, and your support with that. Thank you to everybody who contributed to that. That meant so much. It paid for the expenses, but really what helped is that support that I could feel, and the love, and that carried me on.
Knowing that they took the time to care for you and put their thought forward, and some support.
Their thoughts and the support, and that thing. There's people leaving messages, and I was reading, and I was able to, feel it and respond as well, and just all that, just that love, and just snowboarding. The community of snowboarding is just amazing. I feel like there's everybody has each other's back, and then when somebody has a challenge, then we're supporting them, and I felt that support very much. So I'm so grateful to be part of snowboarding. It's too much.
That's so cool.
And there's a lot of really cool things you just said in that. It's really cool to see our community rally for our people, right? That was cool that you got to that our community backs you, and we are a community, and it's cool to see everybody step up, and we love that. And what I was listening to your healing process, which is really interesting, is that it was like a combination of like Western and Eastern, or Western ancient medicines in a sense. And I think it's really cool when you look. Sometimes I shit on the American medical situation because I feel like they overprescribe pills to people, and I have a hard time with that. I really don't think that everything needs. That's just my own personal thing. But what I love but I also can't discredit these doctors. You fucking broke your neck and they fixed it, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, exactly. It's a mix, like you're saying.
And so these incredible doctors were able to take your broken body, put it back together like a fucking carpenter, which is insane, And then in addition, you take that side of it, and then you say, I'm gonna attack this thing from all angles. I think that's a really powerful, inspiring message of healing, is like attacking it from all angles. There isn't just one way to attack this personal journey that you're on of recovery, both personal, spiritual, and physical.
Yeah, I mean, exactly like you said. Like they put a titanium plate and some screws, and they fixed me, and it worked out. And then, the other aspect is you got to believe that, right? You got to know and feel and believe that that's helping you. That's going to fix you, and trust those practitioner, which I did. And then additionally to that, then you got to find what those beliefs are and what's going to work for you moving forward in your recovery. For me, there was a couple people that came into my life that was like, you're never going to do what you're doing again. Are you done now with snowboarding? You're never going to be able to surf again. And I'm just like,
jeez,
I'm not even going to listen to that. That's not my belief. I will do everything again, and I might even do it stronger. Who knows? I'll have more knowledge. But like, that's the key of it, is I think it's the belief. It's what you think about all that. You know, and that, you know, and for me, like, you know, I didn't want to take painkillers because I know that for me, painkillers, like the crazy stuff, is just a dark energy that's not working for me. Like, it never did and it never will. So I opted into more like, you know, CBD and the gummies, the THC CBD gummies. I would wake up in the middle of the night and take that instead of any other thing. To me, that worked better, you know, and I believed it did, so it did.
And that's that. I love that, the believe it works. It works. I heard an analogy that I think is like really how powerful the brain is in regards to people that are allergic to roses might walk by a plastic rose and have an allergic reaction.
I've heard that.
And so essentially what I feel is those happening is they're looking at it, oh, I'm allergic to that. Let's trigger the allergic reaction. I believe it's a plastic rose. That thing does not, there's nothing there. Right. And so, and so there's so many of these studies of, you know, giving people, you know, green dyed juices and telling them that the juice is some super powerful healing juice, and they drink it and their levels of health are measurably go up and things like that. And it's like, if you believe it works, you know. And there's a doctor, another example, they interviewed a doctor about skateboarding and snowboarding, and it was about using substances while riding or skating. And they were asking a doctor, Buds, what's going on with that?
Oh, sorry. Just trying to scratch.
Yeah. So they're asking a doctor basically what, you know, what is going to help me skating. Some people believe that weed helps them skate better. So, and the doctor basically said, well, if they believe that it helps them skate better, then it helps them skate better. It's whatever you believe. And I thought that was
placebo.
Like, yeah,
Placebo
and
effect,
that's
it is
the power
a
of the
placebo
mind.
effect. Yeah.
And inversely, when they tell you, hey, you're never going to be able to skateboard again, and you take that doctor, you go, this guy went to medical school, he knows all this stuff. He told me I'm never going to be able to. He's right. And if he tells you that you can't snowboard again, he's also right.
Yeah,
right?
but my advice is, if somebody tells you that, you go get another doctor.
Yeah.
And then they tell you again, go get another doctor, until that opinion or that whatever they're telling you is what you believe or what you want. Then rely on them. Otherwise, it's like, okay, thank you, no, but I'm gonna do my own thing. I know it's gonna work. You know, the placebo effect.
The placebo effect proves that the mind is stronger than the medicine, maybe.
Absolutely, like in the war, right? Like they ran out of medicine.
Yeah,
and they
give them this tablet.
They injected water with sugar, telling the patient
Morphine.
that it was the same. They all healed the same way. Like, they thought they were getting medicine, they didn't, but they still healed up. So
it's crazy. It just lets you know the mind is very powerful.
Very powerful.
Taps into some crazy stuff.
It's powerful if you're positive, and it's powerful if you're negative.
Yeah.
You go downhill quick.
And we all know that guy that has that dark cloud around him because he's so negative. And you just want to be like, dude, be positive.
And you feel it when people walk into the room. You feel their energy, you know. It's that same thing.
Yeah,
like,
someone that's always down on something, you're going to feel that negative, thick energy. It's interesting.
Yeah, positive's infectious as well. They're all.
Yeah.
They're all. What do you think about? All right, let's just, while we're on this, because this stuff's fascinating to me. I'm sorry if people aren't interested. Who gives a shit?
People are.
So what do you think about like the trapped negative energy manifesting as disease in the body? Like,
yeah, I believe that it's definitely a factor, because when you are angry, when you are fearful, when you are ungrateful, when you are, you know, when you're thinking negatively all the time and everything's frustrating, well, since all of it is energy, you're vibrating at a lower energy. And so when you do that, then your body is also not feeling at its full potential. It's then creating a illness or disease, or essentially it just kind of like gets your immune system to lower, to be less effective, because you're putting all that bad frequency into it. And the other way around, when you feeling love and you're feeling compassion and you're feeling like you're at the right place, the right time, then you can also, pretty much up your immune system and up your health, and that's definitely, I really believe that's true, for sure.
There's a guy that did a study where he put jars or cups of water around a house and was super negative to one, like said bad things, and that water gets all like nasty, where the positive water stays clean and clear.
Yeah, and like organized, and like
the vibrations or something. The molecules change.
The molecules change, yeah. And we are made of 80%, 90% water. So if you think about that concept, your molecules changing depending of what you think about yourself, the words you say about yourself, but also the way you act, the way you're speaking, the way you're thinking.
Yeah, or a father putting down his son nonstop. That's going to just be a negative thing for that poor kid.
Yeah. And and in that same regard, music is a very important part of healing, I think. People use Tibetan bowl or drums, or even just like, that's one thing I forgot in my healing. I actually, for 8 hours a night for 2 months, I listened to a certain frequency, a certain vibration music
for 8 hours.
Yeah, all night
long,
just next to me. Sometimes in headphones if I was sleeping, if somebody was there that didn't want that music. Like Megan liked it, so she also pretty much listened to it a lot.
Yeah.
But if my kids were there, I would put headphones, and so I think that really helped, because in that sense, those vibration, those frequency, they're healing ones. They're like higher vibrations, and I guess each part of your body has a certain frequency that it's helpful for their health, and the regeneration of your molecules, just like the water.
Yeah, it's so cool that people actually take the time to study this stuff.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a sound bath in Salt Lake, hit up at Heal with Lee on Instagram. That's my partner. She does those things. They're great. So I had to do a quick plug. But another thing, just staying on the subject too, is thinking about like, let's just take alcoholics, for example, right? It's an interesting one too, because a lot of times, you'll see, why can somebody go out and have a couple beers and shut it down? And why can somebody they just can't keep getting out of their own way every time they drink, right? We all see, maybe we've been through it. Maybe we have a friend or loved one that's been through it, but you can see there's some people that just, alcohol is not for them. And there's a lot of different ways. You could be allergic, you could be, genetics, you could have bad genetics, but I also believe a huge part of that is like trapped trauma in your body that you're coping, that you never dealt with, or there's something in there deep that's driving you, that wants you to mask that emotion via drugs or alcohol. And a lot of times these powerful medicines or breathing or all those things you're describing can help you kind of release some of that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I believe that for sure. A lot of it, just like you mentioned, is probably, it could be from your environment or your past. It could also be that humans they like their suffering. They kind of like, they're used to it, and it's kind of like that's kind of like they want to go back to that instead of dealing with the issue. Like you said, they want to, maybe some people want to mask it, or like so they don't face it. So at the end of the day, it's like, everybody has the choice, but are you going to be the prey, or are you going to be the lion chasing the prey? Are you going to, your shadow is always going to be following you until you turn around and face it. So in some way, it's like, it's up to anyone everybody has the choice. We're all humans, and everybody has their issues, and everybody has their successes, and so, you know, but I do think that, a lot of those practices and breathing even it can really be helpful for, you know, to face those traumas and then recover from them, or at least learn about yourself and get back to your true self, which is at the end, we're all love, you know?
Oh man, there's that. I love this conversation. I think that it's interesting when you talk about these things because we're all wired the same. Every human is wired to, like, you know, I think it comes from back when we were living in the woods eating, you know, sticks and shit and like whatever. We know before we had all this civilization, we were just like, you know, we were always scanning, looking for problems and trying to solve them because there might be a freaking lion trying to eat us. Now there are no problems. Realistically, we have our food, we have our water. There are big socioeconomic problems, but there's not problems.
Sorry,
and then, you know, there's no real issues in our life. You know, we might have things here or there, but so we might even create problems. There might not be a problem, but we create a problem because that's just the society we live in. And I just think it's so fascinating to think that, like, these problems have been happening for so long, since like ancient times. Humans have been dealing with these same issues, and since ancient times, there's been these plant medicines, and there's been Stoic writings, and there's been all this stuff, and it's so comforting to know, like, we internalize it. I used to internalize it. Like, I'm the only person going through this, man. Like, I don't want to talk about it. It's like, guess what? We're all fucking going through it. Let's just, like, talk. You had an issue as a child. Something happened to you. Okay, that sucks. I'm sorry. But so did a lot of other people. And there's comfort in that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the same issue 100 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like you look back through history. It's like, oh, not only does this happen to me and these people, but 2,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does feel good. Like, I mean, we are all humans, and we all are experiencing traumas or joy, and we all have choices. And that's kind of like the bottom line. Everybody's got the choice to know how they feel. Maybe not of their upbringing or, you know, those type of things, but at least you always have a choice to feel a certain way. And every moment you can decide that, all right, I'm going to write a new contract now with myself, and I'm going to do better. Okay, no, I fuck up again. That's fine. Start over. It's a new moment, right? New choice.
Man, great knowledge. You're dropping bombs over here, DCP.
So don't be too hard on yourself, huh? You can write that new contract and start fresh.
Always.
Like that.
Yeah, that negative voice is such a toxic thing when it's, you know, the things that we say to ourselves, or at least the things I've said to myself, are so fucking mean. You never say them out loud to anybody, but you're like, but it's nice to be. But kind.
You'll say it to yourself.
But it's then as I've gotten older, I've been more kind to myself, and I think that helps a lot.
That's good. Because when you love yourself, when you're kind to yourself, then you can be kind to others and love others, right? It starts with you.
Yeah, if you don't love yourself, you're going to be that mean person, maybe.
Inversely, though, that's the thing, is when you get a mean or hateful comment from somebody's ripping you to shreds. Oftentimes, it's not about you.
It's about them.
The person that's ripping you to shreds is probably not doing well themselves.
Yeah, so they're lashing out. I'm going to make this guy feel not well, too.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and talk to you guys about Bubs Naturals and the products that they offer. The first one we're going to talk about is their apple cider vinegar gummies. What's the deal with these things, Jones?
Well, I'm a candy addict, so these actually replace that for me. So I'm pretty stoked on it for that, and my gut feels pretty good afterwards as well.
Perfect. Well, they also have their collagen, which we talk about all the time, and they also have MCT oil powder. What the hell is this stuff, Jones?
I've been using that a little less, but it's coconut based. Again, really good gut health, kind of evens things out when you're eating all crazy, maybe some, crazy Mexican street burrito or something. Helps there. And then mental focus in the day gives you a nice little brain bump.
Okay, I heard a little rumor that they're either offering hydration packs now or available soon. Any word about that?
There is word about that. I have heard about them. I have not yet had them, but I'm super looking forward to it. Hydrate or die. I mean, come on, son.
Perfect. Well, if you're interested in picking up some Bubs Naturals products, head on over to bubsnaturals.com and use promo code BOMBHOLE, one word, for 20% off your next purchase. All right. Is it time for the pub beer crap sheet,
It's
bud?
time, bud. It
Crack
is
some
time.
can. Woo. How is it?
It's delicious. You know what else it is? It's cheap and it's fun.
It's cheap, fun beer is what it is. If you're thinking about getting freaking annihilated, get some pub beer responsibly. Here we go.
Or have 3.
Welcome to the Pub Beer Crap Shoot.
All right, you got to roll some dice.
2 dice, my friend.
Nice. All right.
Gungear is a 6.
What am I looking for?
Whatever you want.
I mean, they're all pretty good questions. Not a 5.
Questions, okay.
Not a 5. 5.
There's
Is it a Gungear? Yeah. So we got a 10. Perfect 10.
Good gear and 4.
Gungear and 4 is a 10. Okay, perfect 10. What's the biggest prize check you've ever won? I guess we talked about that, but do you remember how much money it was?
3 million yen, which I think it was.
What's the conversion on that at the time?
At that time, I think it was closer to like 25 grand.
25K.
Yeah, something like that.
And
that's in the prize money, and then
it's a check to be proud of.
Yeah, super stoked.
Did you have a match incentive, contest incentive?
Yeah, not match, but there was more to it. Yeah.
So that 25 turned into a bigger sum.
Yeah, it was great. Felt very lucky on that one, but yeah, very grateful.
Along the lines of being a founder, you're a founder of Yes Snowboards, and you're also a founder of CBDayz, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Let's talk about CBDayz.
Sounds great. And also, I mean, we were talking about eating. Like, to me, CBD is eating. Is like, that's the reason why we started this brand in the first place. Is like to fight the opioid crisis that's present, that a lot of people are hooked on those Percocets or those other like opioids pills that they give you for as painkillers when you get an injury or like surgery, all that. And in snowboarding, skateboarding, surfing, that happens a lot. Like, we send it until we hit, then we get injured, then we get better, then we go again, right? So along the way, then it happens that people can get addicted to those opioids, and it's not good for anyone. So for us, we started CBDayz to create an alternative, an LT alternative natural remedy, that is based with the CBD. CBD is a compound of the cannabis sativa plant. It's a non-psychoactive compound, THC being the psychoactive one. CBD doesn't get you high. It's more of a therapeutic and more of like anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety, pain reliever. At least that's what I feel it is, and that's what it does for me. Everybody is different. Everybody's body is different, but that's what we concentrate ourselves with. So we have a cream that's like a rub cream with camphor and menthol and CBD to it. We now have like the new very potent one, the 5,000 milligram for a 4 ounce jar, which is like almost more than twice more potent than the other one, the 2,000 milligram, one of the highest potency in the industry right now. We believe that it really helps with, you rub that on a sore muscle or sore lower back, neck, ankles. Then, the next day or the next session, you're back on. So that's our rockstar product. And we can say, then we also provide tincture with some other elements in it besides from the compound of CBD. We have a GABA in one of them, and that facilitate relaxation and could help with for some people for sleeping or just getting out of your head and stop stressing, Then we have some, so the tincture is used, by some people in their tea, their coffee, just as a drop like that. And it's not a cure-all, it's not a one-time deal with that. It's more like you adapt that in your lifestyle, and it's a supplement. So you take a supplement for a month, it's gonna help you. So we believe that CBD and with our brand CBDayz, we can create better days for you. That's our slogan, but that's also the reason why we're doing it. It's so that you're able to go back out there faster, quicker, and you can do it more. Like we talked about earlier in this podcast, it's addictive to go snowboarding and keep pushing yourself and jumping off the ledge and all that. But sometimes you get injured. Sometimes you get sore. Sometimes you overdo it. So for us, for me, for Frank Bourgeois, who's another founder, and all the other ambassador riders that have driven those products, that's what we like about it. It gets us back out there faster, and it helps with pain.
Absolutely. I got some in my desk. You guys came through for Bomb Hole Cup, which was awesome and supported. And then I got the rub, which kicks ass. And I just throw the tincture under my tongue. I keep it in my desk.
That's awesome. I got you more.
Oh, there it is.
More tincture.
Yeah, so this one is the black one. It's the one that I've GABA for help with sleep aid.
Merci.
And I got you guys more of the cream, the 2,000 milligram.
Cream in the crop.
And this is the one. It's like, oh yeah, already just smelling it makes me not sore.
It's got like an icy. It feels like icy hot when you put it on. Like it's got that vibe where it's doing something.
I got you some. Nice. Got you some as well.
Merci beaucoup for the re-up.
There's some re-up right here.
Re-up. What's the white one?
Oh, so that's the one that's more like for your daily use.
Gotcha.
Like more like in the daytime.
I can smell the icy hot like you were talking on the cream.
Yeah, because
you opened.
You know what? That one's good for like. All right, you go snowboarding. You tomahawk hard. You got a sore neck. I'm rubbing this thing on the neck. That's the move.
Right on after that.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, like when I broke my neck, I had a collar for 7 weeks. And so I didn't really take it off even for showering. I would just like keep it on, and then my wife or my mom helped me replace it, with the new pads. But after a while, when it was a little bit more stable, say a month in, or even as soon as I could, when they were changing it, then they will put that on as well, and then put the collar back. And I think that really helped as well, just like the localized CBD cream on the edge, like injury, to get the swelling down and then get the blood pumping. So like very honored to be part of that brand CBDayz, and for everybody that supports us. And it feels good because it's part of the mission. It's helping our community and helping the action sports community, not just snowboarding, skateboarding, or surfing, or it's for everyone, and for us, that's our goal, is to be helpful and to help and people, so that people can feel better and then have fun.
Amazing. Where can people find this stuff? Where can they pick it up?
Well, we have it in certain stores around Colorado, Utah, and the U.S. It's just in the United States right now. Also at CBDayz.com. So CBDayz.com. You can buy it online there.
Can you order it under other countries if you go online, or just USA?
It's basically just USA at this moment. And if we get a discount for you guys, you get Bomb Hole 30, you'll get 30% discount.
Ooh, 30 coming in heavy.
There you go.
It's perfect. What's gonna happen is you're gonna go up there. You're gonna aggressively bomb hole.
Yeah, you're gonna bomb hole.
And then you're gonna be like, "Damn it! I need that 30% off code right now." And while you're in the bomb hole, in the backcountry lane, you can actually hop on your phone and you can order some CBDayz, and you get 30% off. So
and that's
perfect.
That's a nice discount to get this product.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's it's basically based in Colorado, out of State Bridge, Colorado. And so that's where it's mixed. That's where it's shipping from, and so Colorado is kind of like the somewhat of the birth of it. We have a lot of stores there. We're in dispensaries. We're in snowboard stores, and then Utah has some in Provo. We have a retailer in Provo, potentially in Crossroads and Ogden, and this whole thing is growing. and it's slow growth, but at the same time, the right people get to hear about it, get to try it, and it works for them, and then therefore they recommend it to their friends, their family. So, it works for real. I mean, for the people, from what we hear, it does work well. So that's what it's all about.
Smells good too.
Love it. Well, let's get into hot takes, DCP. We're going to dive right in. We do it every episode. We like to ask who the MJ and or Michael Jordan or GOAT, greatest of all time for you, both male and female. Like who's your GOAT?
For me, it has to be Terry Hawkinson. I grew up watching him snowboard. I was always super inspired by him. And then he became a friend, and I got even more inspired. And then he's still going. For me, is definitely the GOAT of snowboarding. And I would say, if I have to pick another one, there was like Travis Rice. Probably is. I mean, he's leading the way now in the progression of snowboarding by doing that tour, but also he always have the project that just seems to be so innovative. And so both those guys, I'd say, in the male's part. And then the female, I think that, there's girls like Barry Christie that's still involved in the snowboarding industry the way she is. She's team manager or marketing director at Mervyn or at GNU. Yeah. And I think in that sense, she could be a GOAT. My wife Megan, she did a lot in snowboarding. She doesn't snowboard that much anymore, but she's still also involved with Burning for Breast Cancer in the industry and giving back to the community. So I'd say, those are my favorite. Maybe I'm biased a little bit.
That's a great answer. I think that's a great answer. Megan is goated for sure. Next question we'd like to ask, best style ever. Who you got?
Oh, man. I always love watching like Gigi. Gigi rough style was always one of my favorite. And I would say Nicholas Muter actually I really like his style. Always so stylish.
Very stylish. Kid's got style.
Great answers. Okay, who's the most underrated in your eyes? Who do you think's most underrated?
Right now, like I kind of disappeared in the jungle for the last 2 years. I'm sure like some of the
from
guys
from the jungle standpoint
right now, it's for
that
you,
though. It's from your vision,
From my vision, yeah. One guy that I always thought was overrated, that
underrated.
He's
I was always like,
you could say overrated too if you want, but let's start with underrated.
The underrated, like one guy throughout my career, somebody that I think could have made it a lot further because of his talent and the way it was Gaëtan Chanu. So Gay, film for Magda, got a closing part in Shakedown, and he had it, and somehow sponsors were not back to maybe the Quebec name or something.
He was dope.
Definitely.
You know who's another Quebecois that's underrated? Frank Bourgeois.
Oh, for yeah, Frank. Yeah, Frank.
But Gaëtan's a great answer.
Yeah, Gaëtan's good.
Yeah, I think Gaëtan, in my book, because I'm, probably I come from that background and I see it, But yeah, I would say he was one of them for sure.
Another Gaëtan part, he filmed for you guys.
Yeah, he rode for Tech 9.
And in I believe it was Gen Pop.
I think Gen Pop.
He had a banger part to Danzig.
Yes.
That part always sticks out to me. But yeah, Gaëtan, great answer. Doesn't get talked about enough on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I know the answer to the next one, but rails/steel or powder?
Powder.
Imagine if he said. Imagine if he said rails. Okay, favorite board graphic ever.
That's difficult because I loved a lot of it. I like graphics that are, art, artwork graphics. One of the most memorable one for me in the time that my career was like starting and, in those years was probably like Mike Perillo's Balance, like one of Terrier's model that was like like it was 5 different graphics put into one. It was a pair of eyes, and that to me, like that's the most iconic. There's been a lot of other great ones since, but that one I remember a lot. Also kind of like the simplicity of those Atlantis board, even though there was not a lot to it. Maybe just the era and the Ingemar and Daniel Frank and that style, I like that. There was not a lot to it, but it was simple, and at that time there was a lot of loud graphic, and they had the simplicity of it and the cleanness.
Man, I really like that answer. Everybody always goes brushy fish, Terrier sword,
they throw out
whatever,
the usual
suspects. Those are like very thoughtful, different graphics. I remember the Atlantis ones too. That's great.
Yeah, and at the time, they were unique and special.
Okay, if you could go heliboarding with 3 people, just for fun, which it sounds like you've done actually.
Yeah,
but hypothetically you haven't lived
28 hours on a trip.
Yeah, yeah. So, who you taking? Who's going on the good times? Hell
yeah! Like right now, if tomorrow we go, I'll bring my daughter Lily, give her that experience. I'll go with my wife, and then I'll pick Jerry Lopez to join us.
Yes.
Wow, good answer. I like that one.
Great answer.
Okay. What about we talk about the beaver slap on the show when you're in the lift line and you whoosh, smack your tail in the lift line. Are you pro or con? What's your thoughts on the beaver slap?
I don't really have any comments on that one. Like if somebody feels like they want to do that, then they can. And
you're more of a take it or leave it type of guy, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not bothered by it. I'm not excited by it.
It's just kind of there.
If there's snow on my tail, I'll probably slap it right before I get on the lift or something.
So you're down then?
He's down for the slap.
Yeah, okay. I can be down.
Love it. He's kind of it's that answers a lot like a post game interview where they're like no comment at the moment.
No comment at the moment. But if I have to do it, I would.
Yeah. Very it's very good media training on that.
Media training.
Okay, so last question.
Second time in here.
Yeah, it is. This is your second time around. Okay, next question we ask is worst trend.
The worst trend in snowboarding?
Sure.
I'm not a big fan of like boots over tight pants, jeans while you're out snowboarding. First of all, it gets wet and probably snowy, and snow gets inside the boot. Not very practical.
Not practical at all.
I don't know. Whatever people like, actually, they can rock with it. But that's definitely something I will not do.
Okay.
Well, they just don't know it could be a lot better if they didn't do it for their own sake, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to have like tighter pants or tighter fit or whatever, but like the jeans inside the boots, I don't know.
Tough one.
Okay. Well, we like to know what's next for DCP, a.k.a. Dave, which we coined earlier.
Yeah, Dave.
What's next for Dave?
What's next? We're going to do some Canadian living for the next few years while our daughter is doing high school, getting a driver license. And so I'm very excited about that. Something that I came to from the last 6 months, last 5 months, is I truly want to come to a space where I can help and pass on some stuff I've learned. And so I have started to facilitate adventure trips. So I've already hosted one in May. I'm hosting one in December, and I want to keep doing with more. The 2 ones that I'm hosting right now, that is like for Crossroads Academy. It's out of Ogden, Utah, actually, close to here. It's a substance abuse facility, and so I'm I'm putting adventures together in Costa Rica, British Columbia, places where we can include surfing, snowboarding, mountain biking, skateboarding, other type of activities, but also give tools or provide I'd say like different practices that maybe it will land for those people. Maybe they will pick up something from it, whether it's meditation or breathing or just even snowboarding, skateboarding, being in the moment, being in the flow. If that, if that will, give them this, a better options than what they were doing prior. So working into providing experiences, I think, is where I'm going at. And I think that's what I want to do a lot of. I like to experience myself, but I like to also share with people. And so I think that would be a good one.
And you've learned so much and done so much cool stuff.
I feel like I've been very lucky to have all those experiences. And now I feel like I want to share and then have people experience some of those things. And
I think anyone would be
the
lucky.
DCP retreat.
Yeah. Any human would be lucky to have DCP with his positivity.
How do we do a bomb hole company DCP trip?
Dude, let's go
to Costa.
Let's go. I'll put something together.
Oh my God!
Good times with Dave.
Yeah, good times with Dave. That's a good.
That could be the company name.
Find me on Instagram at Good Times with Dave.
Good Times with Dave.
Yeah, Good Times with Dave's not a bad brand name.
Not a bad name.
Yeah, I mean, how does one sign up for this hypothetical? If people are listening, they're like, I want to do that.
I want Good Times with Dave.
I want.
Yeah, well, currently I call it Perspective Adventures.
That name's good.
It's okay.
It's
yeah, I'm okay with that name.
But
Good Times with Dave, though.
Yeah, I mean that can be the custom.
I might
trip,
buy the website tonight.
Perspective Adventures, Good Time with Dave with the bomb hole.
Perspective Adventures is a great name,
great
but
name.
then you get your slogan. It's your slogan. Good Times with Dave.
Totally.
That works.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm working on this website. Currently, so soon it is going to be something. But you can go on my Instagram, Cholula in the Hole.
Love that one. We didn't get to
and then you can DM me for
Dude, I had an epiphany one day that Cholula in the Hole has to do with eating avocado.
Absolutely.
And you pop out the seed and you throw Cholula right in there. Bam, Cholula in the Hole.
That's it.
For years, I had no idea what your Instagram meant.
That's exactly what
and
that is.
And then one day I was eating an avocado and I was like, Cholula in the Hole.
Yes, exactly.
Beautiful. Anyways, back to your story.
So why did you choose to make your Instagram handle Cholula in the Hole?
Because it's a wonderful experience.
At the time, my sponsor at the time was like, oh, okay, so there's this new thing, Instagram, and it's social media, and you become your own creator, and, you guys need to have one, So we're like, all right. So, yeah, Macintosh, Sage, they all had their name, and I was just like, I don't want just to put my name at DCP or at David, whatever. So I wanted something different. And I was actually with Temple Cummins at his house, and we're both like trying to find a name. And we were eating avocados with Cholula in there. And he was Tube Steak Face. At Tube Steak Face.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah. And then I was like, what am I going to be? I don't know. And we're like, Cholula in the hole. Well, in the hole. Yeah, totally. Just we played with it.
It's a great name.
Yeah. And then Terry was Chocoromp, and that means chocolate butt.
Chocolate butt.
Yeah.
I know that's a fun
I didn't
fact.
know that either. Yeah.
So then it's kind of like, it was just kind of, Terry wasn't involved, but it was with Temp, and, we just wanted something funny. And then I had the opportunity to change it many times, but I just figured whatever.
Did Temp go with Tube Steak?
He did for a while.
He did.
Yeah, he had that for a while, but he wasn't really active on it.
But the name.
No, he became. I think he might have Temple Cummins now. I'm not exactly sure.
Right back to the old school where you just use your name.
But that was pretty funny,
All right, so let's go back to Good Times with Dave, a.k.a. Perspective. What's it called?
Perspective Adventures.
Perspective Adventures.
Good Times with Dave just kind of sits in the mind and stays.
Well, just officially change the name. It's Perspective Adventures slogan. Good Times with Dave. So back to how people can find you and sign up.
So yeah, you can just for now just hit me up and follow Cholula in the Hole on Instagram, and then you'll see either a link in the bio where you can find a new website, or just DM me for some information, or you'll see post about it, and then I'll promote it through that channel.
Awesome. And then your partner, Megan, she does women's stuff too, kind of along those lines, or no? Is that just for B4BC?
So Megan does organize. I mean, she's been in that business of retreat organization for years. She did some prior to working with Boarding for Breast Cancer, but now she's done a lot of specific retreat, surfing, yoga, snowboarding for breast cancer survivors. But also she organizes a mother-daughter retreat. And so that experience of connectiveness with the mom and the daughter, and she has one coming up in next July in Costa Rica, and they do amazing stuff, adventures, and it's very empowering for the mom and the daughter to live those things together, learn from each other, and like it's really cool. I've actually attended as a helper the last one she held, and it was amazing to see all the little girls like just coming into themselves, like, I can't believe I jumped off that cliff into the water, and then their mom jumps and it's like, I can't believe you did that, Mom. You know, it's just kind of like, it's really cool.
Now, is there like that's incredible. That's incredible. I was just thinking about these good times with Dave's experience that we potentially are going to be doing. You know, is there hypothetically like a 3-foot point break, like banky left?
Yes.
As part of this, like, good times with Dave.
Yeah, actually.
Maybe even 2.5 feet.
Yeah, maybe like 2, maybe even 2.
Yeah.
2 is good.
Yeah, because there's gonna be one for sure, like that we're gonna hit up Pavones in Costa Rica. Pavones have multiple breaks, and one of them is, you know, on the given swell. It's exactly what you're looking for.
Okay,
Wow.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about like a 2-dude podcast running retreat? You know, like just like me and Buds.
Yeah, man. You guys could be the guest of honor, the facilitator. We can learn how to be funny. we can learn how to communicate better.
I don't know if that's a skill you can teach.
I know you guys might do like ayahuasca, but we could also do smelling salts.
Smelling salts.
Have you ever done one?
Uh-uh.
Oh, here you go.
What do you do with that?
So you just squeeze it. Here, Buds, take one. Too.
Snap it and sniff it.
This is also a spiritual experience.
It is. It's very spiritual.
So just all you want to do is
It's kinda your
give it a little wave.
non-plant-based.
Here, I'll show you exactly how to reference how to do it. You give it a squeeze, and you kind of want to work your way up until it gets close to the nose.
Chris has a pro technique going.
Oh, then
He's
you get a
back
little.
for
Then
more.
you're good. Yep. Woo!
Jesus.
Woo!
No, I don't like that.
It doesn't smell natural, huh?
That came right out of the earth. That came right out of the
I went
ground.
too deep.
We actually grow that in the back.
We do.
We grow our own smelling salts. It's a plant medicine.
Yeah,
It's actually
you don't want
chemicals
that
come from the planet.
underneath your nail either. It kind of burns.
Awesome. Well, one thing we forgot to ask you is your setups. What board do you rock, and what's your setup?
So I ride a Snowboards, and I have a model called the Pick Your Line Uninc, and it's a new shape actually. Last year I rode it. Now it's coming out in September, or sooner than that, or whatever. It's going to be in the store right now, and it's a directional board. I am on it's a little bit wider of a board, so I'm on a 157, or 156 actually, and it's a little wider. It's not a twin board; it's a directional one. Really like it.
Why the wider board?
Because then I can go a little bit smaller. I used to ride a 159 for most free riding and things like that. Now I would go a little bit wider so I can shorten the length, so it's more maneuverable, and at the same time there's more float and I don't have any toe drag or heel drag. So I started to, when we did the 420 with that one was like really short, like 148, but 29 wide. That was really wide, but that's kind of was a start of like we go shorter and wider, and it works really good. Stumps really good too, and there's more surface. And because on that board that I'm riding, there's also a taper down the bite outline. It still carves really good, even though it's wider. So for bindings, I ride the now bindings, and the model is it's actually the Uninc, the collaboration with them. So it's kind of like a medium flex high back with like a strap that you can rotate depending if you want it a little bit stiffer or not as stiff. So it's like the Select, but we got a graphic on it.
Awesome.
And I ride some Rip Curl outerwear and Zeal optic goggles and shades, and then when I skate I ride some Globe shoes. That's pretty much my setup.
Awesome. With your board, you take it rid of the plastic, you wax it, you detune it.
I never detune any board ever. The only time, actually, it's not true.
It's not true.
When I did some rails, a little bit, short time.
Very short time.
But then I will defile the tips and stuff.
Defile?
Just because people were doing it.
So why was your rail career so short? What's up?
Well, it kind of stopped when I just tried to be all Scotty Whitlake and Whistler, and then I cut my edge on a wooden rail and fell to the bottom, broke my wrist, and I was like,
Scotty Whitlake.
I was like, I don't know, powder? Yeah. I live in Whistler. What am I doing? Trying to find a wooden rail in
Not a lot of rails up in Whist.
And every wooden rail in Whistler has just been beat
for sure.
Down.
Yeah, and otherwise, I pretty enjoy the MacDog backyard sessions they used to put together in Bear Mountain with a pile of junk, and we just set up some fridges to bunk. And
those were really sick.
That was
Junkyard
super fun.
Jam or whatever.
Junkyard Jam.
Yeah, so I would ride a little short of 52 and just have fun, you get into it. And I never got into the big stuff like you have been doing, and it's just mind-boggling,
The DCP Cliff is probably pretty mind-boggling for a lot of gibbers.
I was thinking about
that's the perception.
A rail on top of that?
I was thinking about bringing up a rail like a little and just doing a little board slide and just popping off the DCP.
Little
just
Kevin
like
Jones
Jones shout out.
Sorry, the Cadus, that one movie when he did that. Yeah, that would be crazy one.
You could go front blunt 450, but then you just do like a front blunt like
then
1440.
2000.
Yeah, 2000.
Then you do the next level. You go like, blunt to rodeo out, rodeo seven out.
Andreas Wig.
Board.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting into the fucking weeds here.
We're really getting
all right. Let's wrap this thing up. Last
but
not least, do you want to throw out any thank yous?
Yes, definitely. Thank you guys for having me here to this show.
Twice. Thanks for being
twice. Thank you both times.
Thanks for being such a pleasant person about the second time.
I would like to thank my wife Megan, my family, Reef and Lily, my dog Chicken. Those are my people.
Chicken is a G.
My parents for providing me life and opportunities, my brothers and sisters, my friends, present, past, and beyond. All of the people I snowboarded with and the sponsors that supported me over the years to help me with those experiences and all of that. I'm so grateful for the whole community of snowboarding. Everybody that has taught me, inspired me, the people that are still paving the way into snowboarding, and guys like you guys bringing to life a podcast that outline the history of snowboarding and the newness in snowboarding. I really want to be thankful for all the filmers and photographers I worked with. And, Raman and JP for Snowboards to providing me for that opportunity. David Pitchy for running the show there, as well as the Nidecker family. I'd like to thank Guillaume Brochu and everybody else involved at CBDayz. I'd like to thank the universe.
Yes.
I'd like to thank the universe for providing me with another opportunity to do this. It was, and be healthy and recover. And I would love to have another special thank you for everybody who was sending me healing vibes over the last 5 months, any support and all the support. I'm so grateful and very grateful to myself for showing up and keep showing up. And I'm very happy that got that opportunity. Yeah.
Woo. Wow. Well, David, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure chatting.
Yeah, Dave.
It was been great. I think you provided a ton of insight for everybody, and I want to say thank you so much. I want to say thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our Patreon members. Thank you to our community. You guys kick ass, and we will see you next week. Over and out from the bomb hole.